I swapped bodies with the female CEO. Upon waking up, Xiaoduo found that he had exchanged bodies with the aloof female president. On the second day after taking office as the eldest daughter of a top consortium, Wan'er found that she had become her own employee. The two people who had no intersection originally mixed together to find a solution. Xiaoduo, are you wearing leggings? Boss Gu, what are leggings? Chapter 1, Those legs, even in ashes, I recognize them. The GU Group is one of the largest conglomerates in the country, and its branch in Longhai City is renowned. Whether local youths or outsiders, everyone scrambles to enter the GU Group headquarters building. After all, working at GU Group is something to brag about. However, today, the company's headquarters made a surprise move by sending a new general manager, and everyone began speculating about this new leader. To their surprise, it was a woman, and a stunningly beautiful one at that. At this moment, the men in the company seemed to go into overdrive, fantasizing about marrying a rich and beautiful woman and reaching the pinnacle of life. Uge, are you still busy? The man at the desk, Xiaoduo, was handsome and sunny, and had joined the company's HR department right after graduation last year. Everyone thought Xiaoduo must have used connections to get in, but Xiaoduo swore that he had gone with a close friend to an interview, and somehow, mysteriously, he was hired. Sigh, the new female boss is bringing a lot of change. All the personnel adjustments of the past few years are up for review, Xiaoduo said, twisting his stiff neck in frustration. Zhao Liang, a rather overweight man, plopped down into his chair, and the chair creaked under his weight. I heard there's going to be a big shake-up in the branch office. Do you think it'll affect us? Who cares about that? If the axe falls, there's nothing we can do. It's already 7 p.m, let us go, we'll deal with it tomorrow, Xiaoduo said, shrugging. There's no rule that says it has to be done today. At the elevator entrance, the two stood side by side, chatting away. Uge, did you draw yesterday? I tried a few 648s, but didn't see anything from Shinra Iarka. Zhao Liang said, frustrated, twisting his hair. As a chubby guy, he loved anime, and there was nothing wrong with that. Xiaoduo replied, I didn't draw, I still prefer the look of Raiden Shogun when she's looking down on me. Hey, Uge, what's your take on the new GU general manager? I didn't see her today, Zhao Liang asked slyly, knowing this was the hot topic at the company. Xiaoduo thought for a moment, I didn't get a clear look, but I could recognize those legs anywhere. Ayer, you really know how to talk big, Zhao Liang said, laughing. Just then, the elevator dinged, and the door opened. Xiaoduo joked, even though I didn't get a good look, I could make 1,080 moves with those legs. Ayer, what the heck, Uge, you really know how to talk nonsense, Zhao Liang mocked. Hey, let her stand in front of me, and I'll show her a banana split, Xiaoduo said as he turned to walk into the elevator. But just as he was stepping in, his confidence faltered, and he froze. Zhao Liang, confused, looked over, his eyes nearly popping out. Standing in the elevator was an extraordinarily beautiful woman, none other than Wan'er, the subject of today's office gossip. She had a frosty expression, and her icy eyes radiated a coldness that could freeze anyone. Ignoring her striking face, her slender body had a stunning curve, and her soft, snow-white arms were so delicate they tempted anyone to touch them. Her long legs were wrapped in a thin layer of black stockings, teasing the male gaze and captivating their heart. Though he hadn't seen her face earlier, Xiaoduo immediately recognized those mesmerizing legs. He stammered, hello, General Manager Gu. Zhao Liang was stunned and quickly followed suit. Hello, General Manager Gu. Now, the dilemma, should they get in or not? Either way, it felt like they were doomed if they didn't make a move, their year-end bonuses might be gone if they did, they might lose their jobs. As the elevator door slowly closed, they both exhaled in relief. Uge, is this the new General Manager Gu? Zhao Liang asked, or struck. He was so stunned that he reflexively reached forward, accidentally pressing a button on the elevator panel. Xiaoduo smiled bitterly, that's her. I recognize those legs even if they turn to ash. Just as he finished speaking, the elevator door reopened. Both men stood frozen, staring at the now open door, unsure if the general manager had overheard them. Xiaoduo took a deep breath and stepped into the elevator. Zhao Liang, seeing him walk into the lioness den, froze, then nervously muttered, I just remembered I still have some documents to revise, so I'm going to work all night. You go ahead, I'll catch up. Zhao Liang, you really have no shame. We agreed to face difficulties together, but now you're flying solo. As the elevator doors closed again, the atmosphere inside became suffocating, especially with the four burly bodyguards standing in each corner. Why was the elevator moving so slowly today? A cold voice cut through the silence. What's your name? Xiaoduo felt his scalp tingle. Xiaoduo. Wan'er glanced coldly at him but said nothing. However, Xiaoduo couldn't shake the feeling that this icy CEO had made a mental note of him. She would surely find a way to make his life harder. The rest of the ride was quiet, and soon, the elevator arrived at the underground parking lot. The doors opened, and 3 cars were parked outside, 2 black Range Rover SUVs and a 2-tone Maybach in the middle. The bodyguards exited the elevator first, and one opened the door of the Maybach for Wan'er. She walked past Xiaoduo with elegant strides. The sound of her high heels clicking on the ground rang out, sharp and clear, like the spreading chill of winter. After she entered the car, she cast a final, icy glance at Xiaoduo. Her gaze was devoid of emotion, and as the car door closed, the convoy slowly disappeared from his sight. Xiaoduo sighed as he exited the elevator, feeling like his luck had run out today. He reluctantly pulled out his car key from his pocket, and the lights of a sleek black BMW 530 lit up in front of him. Just as he got in, Zhao Liang suddenly appeared, jumping into the passenger seat. You're still alive. Thank goodness. Xiaoduo gave him the middle finger. The general manager didn't do anything to you, right? I pretended to retreat earlier, but I actually ran down the stairs. If anything happened, I'd have been there for you, ready to stab 2 knives in for you, Zhao Liang said, feigning loyalty. Xiaoduo grabbed him by the neck. You fat bastard, still thinking about stabbing me? You just want to play the role of a loyal subject, huh? As the BMW shook, Zhao Liang suddenly noticed something. Car, there's a car coming. Xiaoduo turned around and cursed, damn, today's my unlucky day. It seemed like Wan'er had mistaken the passenger seat for a woman's, but it was Zhao Liang, the chubby guy. That shifted her view of him from a potential pervert to an outright weirdo. Zhao Liang, his face flushed with panic, slid down his seat, as though trying to make himself invisible. As the Maybach passed by, Xiaoduo felt like his whole image had been ruined. Today had truly been cursed. When they finally drove out onto the road, Zhao Liang asked seriously, the general manager didn't do anything to you, right? Chapter 2, I've become a woman. I was asked for a name, and it looks like tomorrow I'll be transferred to some remote, backward place. Zhao Liang furrowed his brows deeply. Brother this is all my fault. To express my apology, I'll send you the 50 tons of seeds I've been collecting for years when I get home tonight. Good brother. Zhao Liang comforted him, you've been through so much. If you really get sent to a remote area, at least you'll have plenty of mental space to focus. Xiaoduo. He originally planned to go to an internet cafe and play some games, but now he didn't feel like it. Jinhui Nanyuan is considered a second-tier community in Longhai City. It's not as expensive as the top-tier ones, but it's still around 80-90,000 per square meter. Brother I'm heading home first. I'll treat you to a late-night snack tonight. Tomorrow, let's do it tomorrow. Damn it. If you get sent away, I'm going with you. Zhao Liang said decisively, thumping his large chest with enthusiasm. He thought to himself that it would be a good way to lose weight. Xiaoduo scoffed, stop pretending. Your dad used all his connections to get you in. If you dare mess up, I'll have all your meat chopped off. Brother you're a good person. Get lost. Twisting the car key, Xiaoduo entered the nearby elevator, while Zhao Liang went into the other elevator. The two had been living in the same neighborhood for several years, and they met on the basketball court due to their shared interests. He pressed the password lock and opened the door to his home, tossing his car keys onto the shoe rack. I'm home. A man with a square face and a beard was sitting on the sofa watching financial news. This was Xiaoduo's father, Taijuo. In the kitchen, his beautiful mother, Tang Ling, was cooking. Juo, go wash up and eat, we have good news. Tang Ling called excitedly from the kitchen. Xiaoduo thought, I have some good news too. I just offended the new manager who arrived at the company today. The dinner was 3 dishes and a soup, a very standard setup. Xiaoduo sat down and asked, I heard your company got a new boss. How is it? What else? My son spoke out of turn and ruined everything for himself. Tangling clicked her tongue and took out her phone. Enough about work. Xiaoduo, I asked for a match for you this morning. You've been encountering some romantic luck recently. This afternoon, Antoine called. She has a 98-born girl, with a bachelor's degree, 165 centimeters tall, working at a foreign company. Look, here's her photo. Xiaoduo glanced at the photo. Wow, she looked pretty good. Oval face, big eyes, a sweet smile. She was a total contrast to that cold-blooded general manager Gu. Not bad. Xiaoduo secretly nodded. I knew you'd like her, so I set up a dinner meeting for tomorrow night. Xiaoduo said seriously, you brat, seize the opportunity. Your mom wants to hold a grandson. Don't worry, when Xiaoduo steps in, there's nothing I can't win. Keep dreaming. If you're really capable, bring a girl home to see. Xiaoduo said, giving him no mercy. Tangling put away her phone and served Xiaoduo a bowl of seaweed egg soup with a proud smile. There were so many parents at the matchmaking temple today. When they heard my son works at GU Group, they were all eager to introduce their daughters. Xiaoduo nearly burst out laughing. If he confessed now, his mom would flip the table. Don't let her be too happy, it's better to wait until she's in a better mood. After dinner, the 3 of them sat on the sofa eating fruit, and the TV news suddenly showed Wan'er's face. Today, the general manager of GU Group's Longhai City branch made her public debut. What surprised many was that she is a young and beautiful lady. Gu, you're so young and holding such an important position. Do you feel any pressure? Gu, could you say a few words for us? The Gu Wan'er on TV completely ignored the question, her stunning face tinged with a cold, distant look, just like in the elevator. Xiaoduo, is this the CEO of your company? She is so beautiful. If she could be my daughter-in-law, that would be quite impressive. Tangling sighed while peeling an orange. Xiaoduo spat out the water in his mouth. Your future daughter-in-law is about to make things hard for me tomorrow. But never mind, this cold beauty isn't tea really my type. Xiaoduo, sipping his goji berry tea, added his own criticism. With his cowardly demeanor, I don't think it'll work. True. Xiaoduo rolled his eyes. Do you guys talk about your son like that? I'm starting to wonder if I was picked up from a trash heap. I'm off to play games. Xiaoduo got up and locked himself in his room, as if he was about to do something shameful. Daytime at work, nighttime playing games, weekends going out, then getting married and having kids. This was the simple life Xiaoduo had planned for himself. No grand ambitions, just an ordinary life. After taking a shower, Xiaoduo lay on his bed and decided to just go with the flow. He got himself into this mess with his own big mouth. As he drifted into sleep, he dreamt of the cold Gu Wan'er ordering her for bodyguards to beat him up. After fighting back, he ended up on the floor, demanding millions before getting up. He didn't know how long he slept, but he was awakened by a strong urge to pee. Groggily, he got up and walked to the bathroom, yawning as he lifted the toilet lid. However, the familiar sound of a stream didn't come. Instead, he felt a hot flow between his legs. He looked down in confusion. Where did the familiar part go? As his mind cleared up, Xiaoduo screamed loudly, sitting down in a daze. This must be a dream. It had to be a dream. He slapped his cheek, but the more he slapped, the clearer it became, he had actually turned into a woman. No. After half an hour of trying to calm himself down, Xiaoduo had no choice but to accept this strange reality. His consciousness was now inside a woman's body. His mom had said he had romantic luck recently, but she didn't mention he'd turn into the flower himself. He stood up and walked to the mirror, looking at himself. Fuck! Xiaoduo exclaimed. The familiar, stunning face wasn't this Gu Wan'er? Oh my god, I've actually turned into Gu Wan'er, the CEO of GU Group. I can't believe it. After a long pause, Xiaoduo pinched his cheek. It was soft and tender. He then pinched his nose. Looks like it's not fake, this face really is natural. Wonder if other parts are as natural. Better take a shower first. This is too awkward. Now the question is, should he wash up in this pink nightgown, or strip it off? Xiaoduo wasn't the kind to take advantage, so he decided to close his eyes and wash. The skin was so smooth. Oops, sorry, accidentally touched the wrong place. After a while, he wrapped himself in a bathrobe, turned on the lights in the bedroom, and was stunned to find that the cold CEO's bedroom was actually pink, with a big doll. She was cold on the outside but probably a little girl on the inside. Chapter 3, Are you wearing leggings? The layout of this bedroom is surprisingly similar to my own, except hers is much larger, thought Xiaoduo as he looked down. Indeed, it was larger. Meanwhile, at Xiaoduo's home, Wan'er stood in the bathroom, staring at the familiar face in the mirror for 10 minutes, still in disbelief. How did she become that man in the elevator? It was her first day as the general manager, and there were still many things she needed to do. How could something so bizarre happen? Unlike most women, Wan'er didn't scream. She forced herself to calm down. However, a sudden urge to pee made her face contort with discomfort. She reluctantly sat on the toilet to relieve herself. After exiting the bathroom, Wan'er glanced at the bedroom. The walls were decorated with anime posters, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, and more. The discarded clothes were piled up on a nearby chair, and the ashtray on the desk was full of cigarette butts. The whole room reeked of smoke. She thought to herself, this man, Xiaoduo, really has terrible taste. The thought that he was now inside her body made Wan'er anxious. I need to find myself and get things back to normal. She grabbed a random shirt and left the bedroom, spotting Tang Ling cooking in the kitchen. Xiaoduo, you're up so early today. Are you going on a blind date tonight? Excited, huh? Tang Ling turned to look at her son with a puzzled expression. Wan'er froze for a second. I'm going to work. She quickly walked to the door, slipped on her shoes, and grabbed the car keys from the shoe cabinet. Tang Ling looked on in confusion. Xiaoduo, aren't you eating breakfast? No, Wan'er replied coldly, opening the door and leaving. Tang Ling stood there, bewildered. What's up with him today? Too excited. In the parking lot, Wan'er got into Xiaoduo's car and drove to what she thought was her home. Meanwhile, Zhao Liang, just getting up, was on the balcony breathing in the fresh air, which he called his air diet. But when he saw Xiaoduo driving out of the neighborhood, Zhao Liang froze. Brother Yu isn't waiting for me today? Oh, he's mad. Jiahar 1, where the real rich people of Longhai City live, had villas starting at hundreds of millions. At that moment, Xiaoduo was standing in front of the mirror, muttering, Wan'er must be 1.7 meters tall. Her legs make up most of her height. She's the best of the best, nothing like some models. Today, she wore a professional women's shirt, tucked into a short skirt that highlighted her chest and slim waist, paired with new nude stockings. Wow, this is incredible. Back in college, Xiaoduo had dabbled in cross-dressing during performances, and he hadn't wasted his skills. He struck a cold, dismissive pose in front of the mirror. Perfect, he whispered. Just then, his phone rang. Annoyed, Xiaoduo walked out of the bedroom. The sound was coming from downstairs in the living room. He soon realized that Wan'er lived in a massive villa with a garden and a pool. She lived alone in such a big house. Rich people sure know how to enjoy life. At the door, Xiaoduo answered the phone. Hello. Miss Gu, this is the security guard. A Mr. Yu claims to be your friend and wants to see you. Xiaoduo paused. Mr. Yu? Isn't that me? Did Wan'er switch bodies with me? Let him in, Xiaoduo replied. All right, Miss Gu. Xiaoduo walked around in his bunny slippers while thinking about how Wan'er was so assertive. But then he felt guilty. Why am I feeling so nervous? This isn't even my fault. Wan'er had parked the car beside the villa, but her bodyguards stopped her and almost made her pass out from frustration. How dare you, one of them yelled. You think you're worthy of the young lady? Get lost. Wan'er, still cold, ordered, let the general manager out. Kid, stop dreaming. You think you can just meet the young lady? Leave before I lose my temper. Wan'er was speechless. Meanwhile, Xiaoduo opened the door and came out. Wan'er's anger flared when she saw herself dressed like that. Miss, The bodyguards greeted respectfully. Xiaoduo could feel herself getting angry and cleared his throat. Let him in. The bodyguards exchanged stunned looks. The young lady actually wants him in. Reluctantly, they opened the gate. Wan'er stormed toward herself and whispered, "You come here." Xiaoduo raised a hand and smiled. "It's fine. You can go back to work," he said, then walked back inside the house. The bodyguards stayed frozen in place. The young lady just smiled, one of them whispered in disbelief. Inside, Wan'er sat on the sofa with her right leg crossed over her left knee in an elegant, ladylike pose. However, in Xiaoduo's eyes, her sitting posture made him want to throw up. Wan'er, seeing herself sitting with legs apart, almost exploded. "Do you not know you're wearing a skirt?" she thought angrily. The two of them locked eyes, both disapproving of the other. "Wan'er, don't look at me like that." "I don't know what's happening either," Xiaoduo finally spoke. Her glare made it seem as though he was the one who caused everything. "If I had this ability, I would have already taken off." Wan'er, though angry, remained calm. "Can you sit properly?" Xiaoduo paused, quickly closing his legs. "Miss Jiu, can you sit properly too? It's making me sick." Wan'er scowled, so furious she forgot she was supposed to be a man. "Did you wear leggings?" "Leggings? You're wearing a short skirt, how can you not wear leggings? Do you have no common sense?" Wan'er's face flushed with anger. Was she not taking her own body seriously? Xiaoduo hesitated. "Sorry, I'll go put them on." "Wait." Wan'er called out quickly. The thought of a man wearing her leggings made her feel uncomfortable. "What now?" "Go think about how we can switch our bodies back," Wan'er said seriously. The thought of a man using her body was unacceptable. Xiaoduo sat back down. "All right, do you have any ideas?" Wan'er said nothing, clearly having no solution. Then she asked, "Do you remember what happened before this?" "Last night, I played some games and went to bed. I woke up here. I was just like any other morning, woke up in your bed." Wan'er replied with a low voice, recalling how she'd nearly scared herself to death when she first woke up. Chapter 4, Mr. Gu, it's not what you think. Xiaoduo speculated, "Boss Gu, do you think it will be like in the movies, where 9 stars align to create a magnetic field and swap the two people's consciousness?" Wan'er felt that what Xiaoduo said made sense. Such a bizarre thing could only be explained by bizarre explanations. "Let's hold hands and meditate with our eyes closed, but we must think about getting back our bodies," Wan'er suggested. "It may sound childish, but I have to try it anyway, okay?" The two of them sat on the carpet facing each other. To be honest, it felt very strange to see oneself from another person's perspective. Wan'er seemed to understand why men were so obsessed with her, and Xiaoduo felt that he was really handsome. The two reached out and held each other's hands. Xiaoduo hasn't even died yet, but he actually shook his hand as a girl. Oh my god. Wan'er had the same idea in her mind, but as long as she could get her body back, she would give it a try. Close your eyes and silently say to yourself to change it back. Although Mr. Gu has a good figure, I, Xiaoduo, still want to be a man and don't want to be the submissive one. Time passed minute by minute, and when the two opened their eyes and saw me again, there was a hint of disappointment in their eyes. Xiaoduo could even see that his eyes were gradually turning red. It felt so awkward to watch himself cry. "Mr. Gu, don't be too anxious. There will always be a way." Xiaoduo comforted softly. Wan'er said coldly, "I just don't want to see you ruin my body." Xiaoduo was immediately unhappy and shouted, "What do you mean I ruined your body? Your body is a body, but mine is not a body, as if I took advantage of you." Wan'er glared at Xiaoduo, then her gaze weakened a little. "Sorry, I just want to get my body back as soon as possible. I also want my own body back. Do you think I like being a woman and having to wear leggings?" Wan'er. "What time is it?" Wan'er suddenly asked. "It's almost 9 o'clock, and I'm actually late." Xiaoduo is a perfectionist and has never been late for work. Today, not only did he become a girl, but he also broke the perfection. "I have to meet an important person today. The appointment is at 10 o'clock. I have to leave quickly." After saying that, he stared at Xiaoduo. I go? That's not a good idea. You should go. Xiaoduo shook his head. Xiaoduo, you're occupying my body, how can I go? If I don't go, my parents will definitely not be able to accept it. Let me be destroyed. I don't want to live anymore. Xiaoduo simply made a big character, saying, I'm done for, you can do whatever you want. Wan'er was extremely anxious and immediately suggested, how about this? Before we find a solution, I'll cover for you and you cover for me, how about that? Really? Xiaoduo sat up immediately and instantly became energetic. Wan'er was helpless, what else can I do? Xiaoduo shrugged and could only make do with it for now. Go put on some leggings, and I'll tell you something on the way. Okay. Xiaoduo nodded, then looked at Wan'er. Why are you looking at me? Go get dressed. Xiaoduo said embarrassedly, can you step aside for a moment? Wan'er was so angry that she laughed, I've seen more than you, and you asked me to avoid it. Hurry up. Since the owner of the body doesn't care, why should I mind? I can just change it in person. Wan'er was very upset. Her innocence was gone just like that. She turned around and walked into the bathroom, and immediately shouted, Xiaoduo. You actually took a shower this morning. I knew you were not a good person. Seeing Wan'er walk out angrily and question him, Xiaoduo was embarrassed. Boss it's not what you think. Don't I know what you're thinking? It's really not. Then tell me. Xiaoduo couldn't speak for a moment, so he could only walk to Wan'er and whisper in her ear. Wan'er's originally angry expression turned into surprise, and then she was ashamed and angry. You are actually standing. Can you please keep your voice down? Do you want everyone to know? Xiaoduo rolled his eyes almost to the back of his head. Wan'er felt like crying but had no tears. She had really committed such a sin to have to suffer such a thing. After getting ready, Xiaoduo prepared to walk out of the bedroom. Wait, you're just leaving like that? Wan'er frowned. What else? Although I am naturally beautiful, I also need some makeup to embellish myself in public. Come and sit down. As she spoke, Wan'er had already picked up the cosmetics. Xiaoduo was amused. Boss you really know how to brag about yourself. I'm just stating the facts, don't move. After a while, Xiaoduo praised, Boss Gu's eyebrow drawing skills are quite good. Wan'er snorted coldly. Boss I also want to remind you not to show too many feminine signs on my body, otherwise people will think I'm a pervert. Isn't it? Seeing Xiaoduo's stern face, Wan'er said calmly, I know, I don't need you to teach me. Also, although it's new and interesting, don't play around with it. I'm not married or have kids yet. Wan'er. The two of them went out together, which confused the bodyguards at the door. What did the eldest lady mean by that man? Go to the company and wait for me. Xiaoduo said with a straight face. President had just instructed that she must not lose her image. The bodyguards were astonished, feeling like they were dreaming. Yesterday this guy had the audacity to offend the young lady, yet today he could be alone in a room with her. It was crazy. The bodyguard opened the iron gate and both of them walked out. However, there was a Rolls-Royce Dawn parked next to the BMW. Xiaoduo's eyes lit up, what a nice car. Cough. Wan'er coughed lightly to remind him. A man in a grey LV suit got out of the car holding flowers. His LV cleavage was so bad that it was almost visible on his face. But to be honest, Xiaoduo thought the man was quite handsome, but still a little bit inferior to herself. Who is this person? Xiaoduo asked in a low voice. Wan'er said calmly, it's just a suitor, just send him away. Xiaoduo understood it immediately. It was the first time he had done something like this and it felt quite fresh. Fu Yangshua comes from a prominent family. His family runs a mine. After returning from overseas, he started his own business and achieved a lot. He is also a well-known figure among the young people in the circle. I heard the news yesterday that the goddess was coming to Longhai City, so I came here early this morning to wait for her. But they never expected to see the goddess and an ordinary man walking out of the villa. Their excited hearts suddenly cooled down. They were even whispering to each other, wondering why it felt like the ordinary man was the dominant one. It must be an illusion. How could Wan'er be like this? But Wan'er's outfit today is a little too charming, and the desire to get her is like 1,000 ants digging out my heart. Wan'er, long time no see. Fu Yangxue strode forward, ignoring the real Gu Wan'er, and showed her courtesy to Xiaoduo. Chapter 5. My son, it's nice to have a beautiful girl in a golden house. To be honest, if Gu Wan'er hadn't been standing next to him, Xiaoduo would have been very upset. So Xiaoduo just hummed. Fu Yangxue knew Gu Wan'er's personality, so she smiled and said, Wan'er, are you free tonight? Let's have dinner together. Xiaoduo was puzzled for a moment, then looked at Gu Wan'er and asked, do you want to go have dinner with him? Fu Yangxue frowned deeply. What did this mean? He had to get permission from this man to have dinner with him? Who was this man? Why are you looking at me? Gu Wan'er said coldly and got into the BMW. No, I'm busy. Xiaoduo imitated Gu Wan'er's tone and sat in the passenger seat. Fu Yangxue stared blankly at the taillights of the car gradually disappearing. What on earth was going on? Wan'er actually got into that man's car. Could it be Wan'er's family? After getting in the car, Xiaoduo spread out his hands. Give me the phone. Seeing that Gu Wan'er didn't reply, Xiaoduo said, don't tell me that your phone is still at home. I was in such a hurry that I forgot about it. Then how will you remotely control it later? Go to my house and get it. Gu Wan'er sighed, drove towards Xiaoduo's residential area, and stopped at the roadside in front of the residential area 20 minutes later. What are you standing there for? Go get it. Xiaoduo urged Gu Wan'er when he saw that she didn't get out of the car. What are you doing with your phone? I'll get it. Xiaoduo was amused. What will I say when I get there? Use your brains, please, and stop wasting time. Gu Wan'er glared at Xiaoduo fiercely and said, I, the eldest daughter of the Gu family, have to help you get your phone. She opened the door, got out of the car, and then closed it. Hey, be gentle, it's not your car, so you shouldn't feel bad. Xiaoduo cursed while sitting in the passenger seat, my dear, this woman is too fierce, let me help you get it back. Watching Gu Wan'er walk into the community, Xiaoduo sneered and said, don't think that I can't deal with you just because I'm the boss. Lowering his head and patting the exquisitely beautiful legs, Xiaoduo felt that the visual effect was maximized. The only discomfort he felt was that he felt a little hot. He felt that he could wear something cooler. A few minutes later, Xiaoduo suddenly saw a familiar figure appear at the entrance of the community. Mom. I'll go. Xiaoduo looked guilty and kept his head down. Tang Ling was at the gate of the community, preparing to go to the vegetable market to buy vegetables, when she suddenly saw a familiar car. Hey, isn't that Tudwa's car? Why is it parked here? Confused, Tang Ling walked towards the car. When she saw that her son was not there and there was a girl hiding herself in the passenger seat, Tang Ling instantly became interested. This brat has a mistress in his house. Boom boom boom. Hearing the knocking on the car window, Xiaoduo thought to himself that it was over. He took a peek and saw his mother looking at him with a smile. Rolling down the car window, Xiaoduo helplessly called out, Mom. Tang Ling's smiling face suddenly turned into horror. This stunning girl called her mother as soon as she opened her mouth. What was going on? Did that bad boy get someone pregnant? That would be great. But this girl looks so familiar. I wonder where I have seen her before, but I can't remember where. Xiaoduo cursed herself inwardly, because she was really used to being called that. Sorry, auntie, you look too much like my mom. Tang Ling didn't feel strange, she asked with a smile, Girl, I'm Xiaoduo's mother, what are you doing? I'm his colleague. Xiaoduo immediately made up a lie. Tang Ling laughed in her heart. This girl was telling lies with her eyes open. Look how flustered she is, as if she was caught. Doesn't she know what tricks young people are playing nowadays? Tang Ling didn't expose it. After all, other girls are shy, so you are colleagues, so you must have a very good relationship, right? At this time, Gu Wan'er jogged all the way from the entrance of the community and got into the car directly. Tang Ling looked at her son in confusion. This brat thought he was invisible. Xiaoduo winked at Gu Wan'er fiercely and said, This is my mother. Are you stupid? Gu Wan'er then realized that the person next to the car was Xiaoduo's mother, and a smile appeared on her originally cold face. Mom, why are you here? Xiaoduo breathed a sigh of relief. Juo, this girl. Tang Ling asked with a wicked smile. My friend. Tang Ling chuckled. One of you said you were a colleague, and the other said you were a friend. You two didn't even get the tone of your words right. I've watched a lot of spy movies, and I can see through your acting at a glance. Xiaoduo and Wan'er were stunned and said, "You guessed right, we are indeed acting, but it's not the kind of acting you think." "Mom, I still have to go to work. I'll talk to you when I come back." "Girl, please come to my house when you are free. Do you have WeChat? Scan it for your aunt." Tang Ling took out her mobile phone. Xiaoduo winked at Wan'er and said, "Go away. What are you standing there for? Do I want to be my mother's daughter-in-law? Are you crazy?" Wan'er drove away quickly. Tang Ling looked at the two young men who were running away and laughed quietly. They were already so grown up, but they were still too embarrassed to meet their parents. This brat must have some tricks up his sleeve, as he managed to get such a pretty girl. But then again, where have I seen it before? After walking a few steps, Tang Ling stomped her feet and suddenly remembered. I saw the general manager of Gu's company here on TV last night. He even teased his son at that time. I didn't expect that he was secretly having an affair with that female president. He seems to be quite capable. No wonder he dares to speak so arrogantly. I'll ask him about it when I come back tonight. That's not right. He has to go on a blind date tonight. Does this brat want to have two girlfriends at the same time? In the car, Xiaoduo breathed a sigh of relief. My parents will definitely torture me severely when I go back home tonight, so you better be careful. By the way, I have a blind date tonight, please help me get her. Xiaoduo suddenly remembered that although she had turned into a woman, she could always turn back. Wan'er frowned. I have to go to every blind date. Of course, it's related to my future life. Wan'er gritted her teeth and agreed, okay. Seeing Wan'er's tone, Xiaoduo reminded her, don't mess around. We are in a mutual aid relationship now. I will do my best to help you, and you must help me without reservation. Don't worry, I won't ruin your love life. Wan'er curled her lips. She has become a woman, but she is still thinking about this. I really admire her. Tell me what I'm going to do next. Wan'er held the steering wheel and said in a deep voice, you are going to meet someone later. This person is very well connected in Longhai City and rarely appears in public. I have to go to pay my respects to him. It would be best if we can cooperate. Is this true? It's like in a Hong Kong drama. Is there really such a thing as paying homage to the boss? Xiaoduo exclaimed in a low voice. Wan'er said helplessly, if you want to get ahead, there are some things you have to do. Is the other person a man or a woman? I don't know either. It should be a man. Everyone calls him Master Bai. Xiaoduo's heart sank. Those who could call themselves Master Bai were all bad men and women. A hideous and terrifying face of a man with flesh emerged in his mind unconsciously. Chapter 6: A Woman's Perspective. Then you should stay with me later. Xiaoduo suggested. If he went to meet the boss, what if something went wrong? With his thin arms and legs, he couldn't even win a fight. If he was caught, he would be trapped in a secret room. Wan'er refused directly. No, Master Bai is very observant and will notice even the slightest movement. You just sent Fu Yangshu away and wanted to see me. If he finds out, he will think I'm just a young girl who has to ask others for advice when making decisions. He will definitely not help me. Xiaoduo nodded silently. This was true, but he still had to correct one thing. You are not a yellow-haired girl, you are a girl with eyebrows. Will he ask about something about the company? Xiaoduo asked. It's okay, I'll tell you the answer. Xiaoduo hummed, Boss Gu, I have one last question for you. Ask. If we hadn't exchanged consciousness, what would you have done with me today? Wan'er did not hide her feelings and replied calmly, I will send you to the most remote branch. Oh my god, I knew this would happen. After a while, Wan'er said coldly, I also want to ask you a question. What? What does it mean to stack bananas on top of each other? Xiaoduo. No matter what kind of woman she is, it is her nature to hold a grudge. Before arriving at the company, Wan'er parked the car on the side of the road and said calmly, get out. The company is still 2 blocks away, and you are asked to walk there. How petty you are. You are punishing your own body. Wan'er explained, there are so many people in the company, it's not convenient for you to get off my car. Mr. Gu, this is my car. Xiaoduo emphasized, don't think that just because you occupy my body, everything will become yours. Wan'er narrowed her eyes and continued, you still have my phone. If my family calls, you still have to answer it. Xiaoduo felt that what Wan'er said was true, then you can take my phone, but you have to switch WeChat. Wan'er nodded, and the two of them took out their phones to log out of their current WeChat accounts, log in themselves, and then add each other's WeChat accounts. After you get off the car, call Li Wei, the captain of the bodyguard team, and ask him to pick you up. I'll send you the address on WeChat. Go buy a pair of Bluetooth headphones. Will you reimburse me? Wan'er stared at Xiaoduo and squeezed out a word from between her teeth. You used my phone to buy things and you want to reimburse me. Xiaoduo smiled awkwardly, I can't get used to it right away, so I'll get off first. Snort. Wait, Mr. Gu, please don't hum like that. As a man, you can't use this tone. It's very feminine. Wan'er was going crazy, she gritted her teeth and said, I know. Xiaoduo closed the car door gently, then bent down and pressed the edge of the window. This uneasy action stunned the men on the sidewalk. The extremely graceful lines, slender legs, and tightly wrapped buttocks undoubtedly stimulated the males to commit crimes. Drive slowly, don't scratch my big baby. Wan'er stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and the two rear tires immediately spun in circles on the spot, and sped away with a wisp of green smoke. Xiaoduo looked distressed. His big darling had never said this before. How could you treat my big darling like this? I will treat your big darling harshly. I, Xiaoduo, will take revenge. He took out his cell phone and called Li Wei, asking him to come over and answer the call. Suddenly, Xiaoduo noticed many furtive gazes. All the men around him were staring at him. Even the men across the street were looking at him furtively. Two men even bumped into each other while looking at each other. When he met her gaze, he pretended to walk past her like a thief. If it happened to me, when I saw a stunning beauty standing on the roadside, I would also take a few glances to satisfy my desire, and be secretly happy in my heart that she didn't notice me. As a result, from a woman's perspective, she knows exactly who is peeking, and she wouldn't even know if she wasn't a woman. But then again, these high heels are really uncomfortable, and I feel a bit hot just standing for a while. I have 3 layers of pants on, and these leggings are simply causing prickly heat. So Xiaoduo summed up a truth, it's fun to look at it, but it's really a pitfall to wear it yourself, especially in summer. At this time, a Mediterranean guy in a suit came over and said, hello, beautiful lady. I'm a talent scout. I found that you have a very good temperament and meet the requirements of our company. Do you want to get in touch with me? Xiaoduo squinted his eyes. The look in the Mediterranean brother's eyes was very familiar, just like when he saw a beautiful woman, so he knew what he was thinking. Not interested. Xiaoduo subconsciously wanted to put her hands in her trouser pockets, but found that her skirt had no pockets at all. She didn't know where to put her hands, so she could only hold them in front of her chest, which immediately bulged out, and the buttons seemed about to burst. On the opposite street, a well-mannered man wearing glasses bumped his head against a telephone pole. The Mediterranean man quickly said, I promise that all resources will be used on you to make you a household name in a short time. A beautiful lady like you should not stand here in the sun. At this time, a convoy drove over from a distance, and the Maybach in the middle stopped steadily beside Xiaoduo. Li Wei immediately got out of the passenger seat and shouted respectfully, Miss, I'm sorry, it's a bit congested. After that, he opened the back door. Xiaoduo glanced at the Mediterranean brother and said, you are right. I really shouldn't stand here in the sun. Then he sat in the back seat. As the air-conditioned air in the car blew on his face, Xiaoduo felt comfortable. Li Wei closed the car door and gave the Mediterranean brother a fierce look. The latter couldn't help but take a step back. Sure enough, this stunning woman would not be an ordinary person. Although it only lasted a few minutes, the men around him said they were still not satisfied. On the other side, Wan'er came to the HR floor and thought for a while in the elevator. As an employee, it would be easier to find out the cancer in the company. She took out her mobile phone and was about to ask where her workstation was when a fat man rushed out from the side and touched her with his fat hand. Wan'er's eyes focused, and she subconsciously grabbed Zhao Liang and held him down, shouting, "What are you doing? Brother, what are you doing? Your hand is going to break." Wan'er was stunned. Damn it, he thought of her as a woman again. She let go of the fat man immediately. Zhao Liang rubbed his shoulders with a look of grievance and looked at Wan'er like a bullied wife. Wan'er also remembered, wasn't this the fat guy who was with Xiaoduo yesterday? Brother Yu, I knew you were angry. Zhao Liang said aggrievedly. No. Wan'er said as she walked inside. Zhao Liang quickly followed and explained, Brother Yu, I'll give you all the 3D subtitles, please forgive me. The situation yesterday was so dangerous. You wanted to play with Mr. Gu's legs in 1080 ways, but I didn't dare. Chapter 7, Lord Bai. What? Wan'er stopped walking and looked back at Zhao Liang. She only heard the banana stacking yesterday, but not the previous one. This Xiaoduo. He looked like a gentleman, so she knew he was not a good guy. Maybe he did something shameful this morning. How abominable. If you push me to the limit, I will not show mercy and will make you suffer until your skin is peeled off. Brother Yu, Ms. Yu is not easy to mess with. Although she looks like a fairy, she is actually ruthless. Everyone in the headquarters is afraid of her. It's impossible to offend her without losing a skin. She is so petty. As Zhao Liang spoke, he gestured, without noticing that Wan'er's face changed. I also heard that President Gu's moodiness is likely due to early menopause. Wan'er pressed Zhao Liang's shoulder and said, you should worry about yourself now. What do you mean? Brother Yu, where are you going? Zhao Liang asked in confusion, wondering if he was too worried and something was wrong with him. Wan'er turned around and walked back, sitting in the empty seat next to Zhao Liang. Brother Yu, don't worry. At worst, we can just quit our jobs together. Humph, you guys are good brothers. Wan'er was about to burst out, but she could never put herself in the man's shoes, so she could only bite the bullet and smile. I mean, we are good brothers. Seeing Brother Yu smile, Zhao Liang shook his coquettish eyebrows and finally appeased him. At this time, a thin supervisor came over with a sullen face, and Zhao Liang walked away first. Xiaoduo, you're late, do you know that? The supervisor said coldly. Sorry, it's too congested today. The supervisor said in a low voice with a sullen face, young people should focus more on their work. It's too vulgar to make such an excuse. Oh. Wan'er replied indifferently. The supervisor also had a sullen face and this attitude. Wan'er thought it would be a good idea to come to the Human Resources Department and start from there. She originally wanted to check out the personnel changes over the years, but now she can just take a look at it directly to prevent them from making any changes. But can Xiaoduo really deal with Mr. Bai? Disaster is unavoidable and he can only leave it to fate. Ding dong, the cell phone rang. Boss Gu, I'm almost there, what should I do? At this time, Xiaoduo has arrived at the suburbs of Longhai City, which is a private club called Houting. I came here once with my dad before. There is nothing you can't do there, only what you can't imagine. It's just a pity that when we got home that night, my mom sat on the sofa with a murderous look on her face. That was also a miserable night for my dad. I'm talking on the phone with a Bluetooth headset. Okay. Putting on headphones, Xiaoduo took a deep breath. Why would he come out to do something exciting instead of just sitting in the office? Originally, he thought he was just a cross-dressing guy, but now he feels like a spy. Don't be nervous, I'm here to protect you. Xiaoduo was stunned, but then he thought there was nothing wrong with what he said. Wan'er was the general manager, so she could just walk backwards in the company in the future. But do I, Xiaoduo, need a woman to protect me? I just want to be an ordinary employee and build my own future with my diligent hands. How can a small favor move me, Xiaoduo? Mr. Gu is generous. When he saw the exquisite circular fountain, Xiaoduo took a deep breath and gradually calmed down. It's just the role of a cool girl, EZ. Remember, don't talk nonsense in front of Mr. Bai and keep calm. Wan'er reminded again. I know, you've said it hundreds of times. Wan'er had a headache. Success or failure today would affect future developments, and she had to hand it over to a strange man. She had never gambled so big before. Suddenly, Xiaoduo saw more than a dozen men in suits standing next to the Roman columns, and all of them were wearing black round hats. If they were equipped with an axe, they would look even more amazing. As the convoy stopped, Li Wei trotted over to open the door and whispered, "Miss, they are trying to show their power." Xiaoduo was a little confused. Wan'er was from the Gu family conglomerate, but this Mr. Bai didn't give her any face at all. Could it be that Mr. Bai's power is similar to that of Mr. Gu's family? Have you seen Mr. Bai? Wan'er gradually became anxious. Xiaoduo was grumbling in his heart, "No one has come out yet, and there are a bunch of thugs standing here. I think it's too dangerous for you to give me a raise." Upon hearing that Mr. Bai had not come out, Wan'er frowned tightly. This shouldn't be the case. With her status, she would definitely come out to greet him. For bodyguards stood around to protect Xiaoduo as he walked forward. When he was going up the stairs, he was stopped. "Wait." Xiaoduo and Wan'er were shocked. "Miss Gu, please go in alone. Mr. Bai doesn't like other people," one of the scarred men said in a deep voice. Li Wei said in a low voice, "Miss, it's not safe." Wan'er had to consider safety issues. Before she could speak, she heard Xiaoduo say, "Wait for me outside." Wan'er, you have courage. Please come in." The scarred man leaned forward slightly and said respectfully. Xiaoduo walked into the hall in several centimeter high heels with an expressionless face, and in his heart he shouted for a raise, "Boss Gu, come in. Actually, I just wanted you to leave." Xiaoduo, why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you agree so quickly? Didn't you say how important today is? Do we have to visit this Pia? Xiaoduo was also convinced. This time it was really over. This woman was harming people. At this time, the man with the scar came over holding a golden plate, with a smile on his face, and the scar became as hideous as a centipede. "Miss Gu, if you had chosen to leave just now, Master Bai would have advised you to go back to where you came from, so congratulations on meeting Master Bai." Wan'er was stunned after hearing this. Is this possible? Xiaoduo breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately he was protected by the god of luck. "Please put your bag on the plate, Miss Gu. We will keep it safe." Xiaoduo put the Hermes into the golden plate and said calmly, "It's okay. And a cell phone and headphones." Wan'er's heart sank, "It's bad." Xiaoduo paused and placed the mobile phone earphones on the golden plate. Wan'er's face became solemn when she heard the sound of disconnection. From now on, she could only rely on Xiaoduo himself. At this moment, Xiaoduo couldn't care less and could only try his best to help her, hoping that she would also try her best to help him tonight. Led by the scarred man, they came to the garden on the side of the club. The entire garden covered a large area and was maintained by professional forest rangers. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers and occasionally a few butterflies could be seen flying around. There was a white pavilion in the center and there seemed to be a woman inside. "Didn't you say you came to see Mr. Bai?" As they approached the pavilion, Xiaoduo could see the woman's face clearly. She had red lips, delicate features, charming eyes, 3,000 black hairs tied behind her head, and a black cheongsam that outlined her charming curves, especially the slit of the cheongsam, where her snow-white legs were faintly visible. Chapter 8. It turns out that Mr. Bai is a royal sister. This is a peach that is so ripe that you can squeeze out the juice. Wan'er is indeed a little immature in front of her. She has a completely different charm, a typical queen type. I saw that jade arm holding up the emerald green teacup, and she blew lightly with her red lips and took a small sip. There was a trace of red lip marks on the teacup, which made Xiaoduo feel hot. It was too deadly. "Mom, which temple did you go to have your fortune told? It's so accurate." "Master Bai, the people are here," the scarred man said respectfully. Xiaoduo was obviously shocked after hearing this. Mr. Bai was actually a woman. Wan'er also said that he was a man, but sometimes women are more brutal than men. This Mr. Bai is indeed very brutal. Bai Ji gently put down the teacup, signaling the scarred man to leave. She looked at Xiaoduo, who was a few meters away, and said calmly, "I've heard that the eldest daughter of the Gu group is naturally beautiful. Today I see that she is indeed beautiful. Business people are praising each other, this really hits the spot." "Master Bai, you are joking. Any woman will pale in comparison to you." Bai Ji was stunned after hearing this. She never expected that Wan'er would say such a thing. A faint smile appeared on her calm face. Xiaoduo thought it was difficult, but now it is easily done. Is it difficult? Wan'er still looks very scared. If it was Wan'er, she would definitely not use the word eclipsed, at least her status would be equal. But Xiaoduo wanted to say, since you are here to ask for help, you have to be polite. Come and sit down. Thank you, Mr. Bai. Sitting opposite Bai Ji, Xiaoduo couldn't help but take a few more glances. Mr. Bai was really fair, but the aura he exuded was very sharp, several levels higher than Wan'er. Try the fresh Longjing tea that was delivered this morning. Bai Ji poured the tea herself. Looking around the entire high city, there were not many people who asked her to do this. Xiaoduo doesn't drink tea on weekdays, but his father drinks it often, and he is familiar with the movements. Bai Ji paid attention to Xiaoduo's every move and said calmly, "It seems that Miss Gu also likes to drink tea. I drink it occasionally when I'm relaxing, but good tea leaves also need to be brewed. If you brew it for me, I'm afraid it won't be even 20% or 30% of what Master Bai has." Bai Ji chuckled pleasantly. "I heard that Miss Gu was cold as ice, but today it seems that the rumors are all true, and this little mouth is as sweet as honey. I'm sorry to make you laugh. It's all just a disguise. I don't dare to pretend in front of you." If Wan'er heard these words, her expression would probably be particularly interesting. After all, she couldn't say these words out loud. "But if it happens to my brother Yu, he can blow you up to the sky, making you feel like you're floating in the air." "Miss Gu, I have a question." "Mr. Bai, please speak." "You were doing fine in Jingju, why did you run to Longhai City?" Xiaoduo remained calm, but she could understand what this Miss Bai meant. She was afraid that the Gu family would extend their influence too much. It all came down to a question of interests. Xiaoduo picked up the teacup again and drank it in one gulp, with a flicker of unwillingness in his eyes. His acting skills really came naturally, and he had to thank his mother for cooperating with his father in acting. "Miss Gu, is there something that makes you unhappy?" "I'm not afraid of being laughed at by Mr. Bai. It's 100 times harder for a woman to achieve something than for a man. I'm not willing to be a tool for marriage. Only by making some achievements and getting the attention of the elders can I break free from the shackles and gain freedom." After saying this, Xiaoduo was shocked herself. She really spoke without thinking. "What do you think, Master Bai? You are also a woman. Can you resonate with me? Do you feel pity for me? Do you want to hug me with your huge heart?" Bai Ji whispered, "This is not a funny thing. As a woman, I can understand your thoughts, but it is not easy to get along smoothly in Longhai City. There are all kinds of people here, and it is not easy to close a deal. I'm new here, please guide me, Master Bai." The 3 words, "take me with you," made Bai Ji laugh again. She laughed too many times today and she lost her dignity. However, the eldest lady of the Gu family in front of her was indeed surprising, especially the way she spoke. "We'll talk after dinner. Now, accompany me to the hot springs. Women also need maintenance." "What? Hot spring bath?" Xiaoduo said, "I never take advantage of others, but if you force me to do so, then I can only obey." Walking on the bluestone path, Xiaoduo discovered that there was no one in the club today. There were always a lot of people when he came here before. Are you curious why there is no one here? Damn, can she read minds? She can even guess this. Well, I heard that this club is very famous in Longhai City. Today is my first time here. Mine. Xiaoduo. Master Bai is still your Master Bai, these 2 words can shock me for a long time. The Houting Club is very large, and you have to take a car to get to the hot spring area. The scenery along the way is beautiful, and the golf course is also built to the highest standards. When the 2 walked into the locker room, Xiaoduo looked a little strange. "What's wrong? Are you embarrassed?" Bai Ji asked with a smile. The eldest lady of the Gu family actually became shy. Xiaoduo said nothing. "I am a man, how can I do that? Don't worry, there's no one else here except the 2 of us today, and the service will all be provided by girls." "That's not what I meant. If she knew I was a man, she would be pierced to death by thousands of arrows." "Yeah." Xiaoduo whispered reluctantly. "Come here and help me zip up." Bai Ji suddenly turned around and said to Xiaoduo with her back to him. Yu Xiaoduo almost sprained his ankle. The back view of Bai Yi was simply breathtaking. Her slender waist was particularly attractive against the backdrop of the cheongsam, and her fair neck seemed to exude a fragrance. Slowly walking behind Bai Ji, Yu Xiaoduo grasped the zipper at the head and moved it gently down. A crisp sound was heard in the locker room, and her fair skin was gradually revealed in the air. Yu Xiaoduo felt a little dizzy. Who can save me? This job is really too difficult. After a while, the two men walked out of the locker room. Yu Xiaoduo's face was as red as the setting sun. The scene just now could only be viewed for a fee. Bai Ji on the side was watching with a smile. She had just teased Ji Wan'er, but she didn't expect her to be so shy. Look at her face, my god, how could she be so red? Yu Xiaoduo said, Mr. Bai, you really don't consider yourself an outsider. I only know how to flatter each other in business, and I don't know how to flatter others in other ways. The two of them soaked in the nearest jasmine pond together. The water was a little hot at first, but it felt extremely comfortable afterwards. I really envy Miss Gu's figure. Bai Ji leaned aside and smiled faintly. I'm totally not as good as Mr. Bai. Yu Xiaoduo said honestly that he was still a little young. Why don't you guess how old I am? Yu Xiaoduo thought to himself that this was not good. Guessing age was a fatal question. If he didn't answer it well, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Of course, he still made a profit. At this time, you must not care about your identity, and you must speak with a serious face. Of course, you cannot be too exaggerated, otherwise it will seem too deliberate. Master Bai, I'll be frank then. Go ahead. Judging from Mr. Bai's skin texture, he should be slightly younger than me. As expected, this answer made Bai Ji very happy. I am already 33 years old this year, I am already old. Chapter 9 Brother Yu is thick-skinned again. Yu Xiaoduo was extremely shocked. He was not pretending. He really didn't expect that she didn't look like a 33-year-old woman at all. Looking at Yu Xiaoduo's stunned expression, Bai Ji was in a good mood. After all, no one had said these words to her for a long time. She couldn't even hear the sweet words from men because they didn't dare to say them. Miss Yu should have a boyfriend, right? Not yet. Come to think of it, Miss Yu is so outstanding, there are not many people who can match her. Yu Xiaoduo chuckled and said, Mr. Bai's other half should be very outstanding. As for me, I'm not interested in men. Bai Ji said indifferently. Oh my god, Ms. Bai doesn't he have a husband? No wonder her skin is so good. But if such a work of art really had a man, how many people would envy her? The higher you go, the lonelier you get. Miss Yu, you will understand this later. Seeing Mr. Bai's desolate expression, Yu Xiaoduo felt emotional. It was really hard to find someone at their level. If they looked lower, they would not be able to find someone. If they looked higher, there didn't seem to be many people who were higher. Bai Ji stretched out her hand and pinched her jade neck, her brows slightly wrinkled. Master Bai, do you feel any discomfort in your cervical spine? Well, I've been busy lately, so I'm taking advantage of seeing you today to take a day off and soak in the hot springs to relieve my fatigue. If you don't mind, I'll give you a massage. Bai Ji was a little surprised. Oh? You can massage? My mother sometimes has discomfort in her cervical spine, and I am the one who massages her cervical spine. I have learned several techniques specifically for this purpose. Yu Xiaoduo has no intention of taking advantage of others, and he does massage his parents' shoulders at home. Then come on. Bai Ji's smile deepened. Yu Xiaoduo came to the back of Bai Ji. This close contact made Yu Xiaoduo's heart beat faster. Master Bai, you smell really good, a charming smell. Only Yu Xiaoduo dared to say this. No one else would dare to say this. However, Bai Ji was not angry, and chuckled. Miss Yu has a really sweet mouth, a charming little mouth. If you were a man, I don't know how many girls you would coax. Yu Xiaoduo. As Yu Xiaoduo pressed down with both hands, Bai Ji could not help but let out a soft moan, which almost made Yu Xiaoduo lose his soul. Is this something you can hear without pain? Gradually, Bai Ji's face became relaxed, and she even leaned on Yu Xiaoduo in the end. Her lazy look was intoxicating. I haven't felt this relaxed in a long time. Bai Ji said calmly with her beautiful eyes closed. Yu Xiaoduo gently caressed her shoulders, and the delicate feeling of her skin stimulated every nerve in her body. She whispered, Master Bai, don't think about anything else today, just enjoy this day. Well, I'll listen to you today. Xiaoduo was shocked. I was just being polite, but you took it seriously. I couldn't stand it. At this time, Wan'er didn't know that Xiaoduo was enjoying a romantic affair. She looked anxious. It was almost noon, and there was no call. Brother Yu, it's time to eat. Zhao Liang suddenly stood aside and spoke, which scared Wan'er. He was so fat and still wanted to eat. Wan'er's stomach growled. She had not eaten breakfast in a hurry today and was really hungry now. Let's go. Hey, let's go smoke a cigarette first. It's a special supply I got from my dad. Zhao Liang showed the cigarette box furtively, as if he was making a deal. Wan'er smiled and said, my throat feels a little uncomfortable today. I'll smoke it another day and save it for me. Hearing Xiaoduo's normal words, Zhao Liang grinned and said, don't worry, I will definitely keep the good stuff for you. Walking to the bathroom door, Wan'er whispered, I'm going to the bathroom. That's what I was thinking too. Zhao Liang smiled and they walked towards the bathroom together. However, Zhao Liang walked to the left, and Wan'er walked to the right. This scared Zhao Liang, and he immediately retreated, thinking he had taken the wrong path. But after a closer look, he found that he was right. A scream came from the women's restroom. Zhao Liang saw Xiaoduo walk out as if nothing had happened, and then walked into the men's restroom. Brother Yu, you're awesome. You rushed into the women's restroom and came out without changing your expression. Your skills have improved again. Zhao Liang immediately gave a thumbs up. He really learned this trick and will try it himself next time. Wan'er was so depressed that she made up an excuse, I didn't sleep well last night, so I feel a little confused today. I'll be confused for a while next time. Zhao Liang shook his eyebrows, looking very coquettish. Zhao Liang saw his brother Yu walk into the single room and lock the door, and was confused. It turned out that he was going to the toilet. However, after a while, Wan'er came out, which made Zhao Liang puzzled. In the past, when they went to the toilet together, brother Yu always showed off, saying that he had gigantic fear and dared not bow his head. But today he was so low-key. It even seemed that brother Yu was a little shy. When he walked, his waist was twisting unconsciously, like a woman. The company's cafeteria occupies an entire floor and is luxuriously and uniquely decorated. It offers dishes from all over the country, and most importantly, everything is free. Zhao Liang swears that he weighed 170 pounds when he first came to the company, and weighed 200 pounds a year later. Brother Yu, is this all you're eating today? Zhao Liang asked curiously as he looked at Wan'er's plate. This was almost 1/3 of what she usually eats, and all of it was vegetarian. Wan'er said calmly, I don't have much appetite today. Zhao Liang thought about it and said, Brother Yu, it's been a whole morning and there's still no movement. I guess Mr. Yu has forgotten about it. I hope so. At this time, the phone in her trouser pocket rang. Seeing the caller ID, Wan'er was delighted. She immediately walked to the corner and asked worriedly, Are you okay? Mr. Yu, I almost died. At this time, Xiaoduo was lying on a soft single sofa with her legs crossed, admiring the food. Beside her were plates of exquisite strawberries, grapes, cantaloupes, etc. This wasn't a death situation at all, it was simply a top-level enjoyment. However, Xiaoduo didn't lie. It was indeed a death situation. It was so beautiful. What's going on? Did I hit you? Wan'er obviously believed what Xiaoduo said. That Mr. Bai was capable of doing that. Xiaoduo had a happy face while eating strawberries as big as eggs, but his tone was deep, no, but it was definitely mental torture. I would rather die than surrender. I would not give up until the last second. Mr. Bai was so scary. Without some courage, it would be impossible to communicate with him. When Xiaoduo thought of Mr. Bai's attractive body, he still felt a little dizzy and almost surrendered. What does Mr. Bai mean now? Wan'er asked worriedly. Master Bai's thoughts are hard to figure out, but with my unremitting efforts, things are moving in a good direction. I will play golf with Master Bai in the afternoon. Wan'er breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you for your hard work. Boss don't say that. If you really want to thank me, give me a raise and a bigger year-end bonus. Okay, as long as you pass Mr. Bai's level, I'll give you a bonus. Mr. Gu is so generous. Don't forget your blind date tonight. Dress nicely, get your hair cut, and wash your car before you go. Chapter 10. Gu Wan'er goes on a blind date. Gu Wan'er exclaimed, "It's quite exquisite." "That's for sure. I won't say any more. Mr. Bai is here." After saying that, Xiaoduo hung up the phone. Gu Wan'er breathed a sigh of relief. This guy is reliable. No, that's not reliable. He must have done something wrong to me this morning. He is simply a big bad wolf. But I have managed to gain Mr. Bai's trust, so I have made up for it. Xiaoduo straightened his lazy lying position. The sound of high heels stepping on tiles rang in his ears, and soon Bai Ji appeared at the door. At this time, she changed into a green cheongsam with a beautiful lotus pattern on the high-quality fabric. It is not an exaggeration to describe her as peerless beauty. I believe that when Ms. Gu reaches Mr. Bai's age, she will be able to reach this level after some experience. After the conversation in the morning, Bai Ji developed a little liking for Gu Wan'er, but she was also a little confused in her heart. Is the eldest daughter of the Gu family so sweet-mouthed? Let's go. Xiaoduo hummed and tried her best to maintain her girlish figure. Good fortune is not so easy to enjoy. Although Mr. Bai is charming, he is also a rose with thorns. Now she just wants to leave quickly. Led by the waitress, the two walked into an exquisite private room. Xiaoduo was so hungry that he just wanted to eat 3 bowls of rice. However, when Xiaoduo saw 2 dishes and a soup on the table, he was dumbfounded. What's more, there was not much meat in those 2 dishes. It was like eating grass. I don't like Western food, I only like home-cooked meals. Bai Ji said in a low voice. Xiaoduo could only hold back the pain and laugh. If I had known that Mr. Bai liked home-cooked food, I would have made a fool of myself just now. Oh? Miss Gu can also cook. Bai Ji thought, how could a lady born in a family like the Gu family and being the eldest daughter know how to cook in the kitchen? I cook occasionally and I've mastered a few dishes. Xiaoduo said modestly. He's not bragging, his cooking skills are top-notch. Bai Ji smiled with her beautiful face. I'll try it next time I have a chance. If it doesn't taste good, Master Bai can't scold me. Bai Ji giggled after hearing this. She seemed really happy today. Her smiles today were equivalent to a year's worth of smiles. This made Mr. Bai happy, but who will take care of Xiaoduo's stomach? This is really a meal with less oil and salt, a perfect fat-reducing meal. I don't like to waste food. I'll order more if there's less food. Bai Ji said softly. Xiaoduo endured the pain in his heart and said, that's enough. I don't eat much. Man is made of iron and rice is made of steel. Girls cannot eat less just to maintain their figure. As she said this, Bai Ji picked up the chopsticks to pick up some food for Xiaoduo, appearing very gentle. Xiaoduo sighed repeatedly, Master Bai, you also know that man is iron and rice is steel. At least put a few slices of meat in these peas. I'll probably faint from hunger in the afternoon. But Xiaoduo was also very curious. Mr. Bai ate so little, yet was so plump. It seemed that the flesh grew in the right places. Tell me about your plan. Bai Ji put the white rice into her tempting red lips and chewed it slowly. Plan? I plan to change into black stockings tomorrow. Does that count as a plan? I just came to the branch office, and I plan to purge some people. Xiaoduo said in a low voice. Although Gu Wan'er didn't say it, it felt like this was what she meant. Bai Ji nodded, I know a little about your branch company. It is basically controlled by your 2 cousins. They were secretly competing with each other before, and now they will probably join forces to deal with you. It will be difficult for you to achieve results. I will find a way to kick them out. Gu Wan'er hadn't said this yet. If Mr. Bai hadn't said it directly, I would have known nothing. Then I'll wait for your good news. From what Mr. Bai said, he wants Gu Wan'er to run his own company and demonstrate her abilities before they can talk about cooperation. If Gu Wan'er and Mr. Bai start to cooperate, Gu Wan'er's status in their family will soar. No wonder she attaches so much importance to this meeting. After a short rest after dinner, the 2 women changed their clothes and played golf together. Xiaoduo had played golf with her father twice before, and could still imitate the basic moves, but she could never escape Mr. Bai's sharp eyes. Miss Gu, do you rarely play golf? Mr. Bai asked gently, holding the golf club in his hand. Xiaoduo was shocked and lied, I've been busy with some trivial matters in the company and haven't played golf much. I've given my skills back to the coach. Bai Ji put down the golf club, walked up behind Xiaoduo, and held his hand with her slender white hand. Damn, Mr. Bai fucked me from behind. Look forward, keep your hips fixed, keep your center of gravity on your left foot, and use your waist. Bai Ji's voice rang in Xiaoduo's ears, making his ears itchy. Before he could react, he swung the club in his hand and hit the white ball out. Xiaoduo was slightly surprised that Mr. Bai was so strong. The white ball drew a beautiful arc in the air, fell on the grass, bounced a few times, and fell directly into the hole. Ms. Gu, you fought well. Bai Ji patted Xiaoduo's shoulders and praised her. Xiaoduo was also embarrassed. This was completely an accident. Fortunately, he was not discovered. After all, with Wan'er's identity, it was a bit unreasonable for her not to be able to play golf. Good luck. However, Mr. Bai's eyes became a little deeper, but Xiaoduo didn't notice it. In the blink of an eye, it was time for Wan'er to get off work. She got a headache when she thought about going on a blind date. She had never been on a blind date before, and to be on a blind date with a woman was something she could never have imagined in her dreams. Brother Yu, let's go to the internet cafe and play some games. Zhao Liang came over and said happily. It was already time to get off work, but no notice was given yet. It seemed that Brother Yu would have good fortune after surviving a disaster. Go ahead and go on a blind date later. If this were Xiaoduo, he would definitely keep it a secret, but Wan'er said it directly. What? Blind date? Zhao Liang exclaimed in a loud voice. All the colleagues around heard it and started gossiping. Wan'er really wanted to sew Zhao Liang's big mouth shut. What's the big deal about a blind date? Brother Yu, take a look at the photos. No. Hey, look at her, isn't she a beauty? Wan'er rolled her eyes and quickly walked away. Hey, Brother Yu is still shy. Zhao Liang seemed to have discovered a new continent. It was rare for a shameless Brother Yu to have such an expression. Wan'er came to the parking lot and drove away directly. Zhao Liang shouted that Brother Yu had a woman and had forgotten his brothers. Looking at the speed, he even stepped on the accelerator into the engine. Soon, Wan'er found a car wash and went to a hair salon. Teacher Tony asked with a smile, "Handsome boy, what kind of haircut do you want?" "Since I want to cut my hair, I must cut it the way I like." Wan'er flipped through the booklet and chose a refreshing hairstyle, this one. "Okay, do you need to dye it?" "Need not. The store is offering discounts on top-ups recently. Would you like to get one?" "Need not." Teacher Tony smiled and looked like a poor guy. Chapter 11. I often wear stockings. At this time, the phone rang. Wan'er looked at the caller ID and took a deep breath. "Mom. I've sent you the address and phone number on WeChat, don't be late." "Yeah, okay." Tang Ling asked with a smile, "Also, is that girl this morning your girlfriend?" "Mom, don't think too much. She's just a friend, how could she be a girlfriend?" Wan'er quickly denied it, trying not to cause any misunderstanding. Tang Ling was a little disappointed after hearing this. "Well, they don't like you either." Wan'er smiled. Xiaoduo's mother was quite down to earth. After hanging up the phone, Wan'er looked at herself in the mirror. She had to admit that Xiaoduo looked pretty good. He drove a BMW at such a young age. He must have lied to little girls many times. She didn't know how his relationship with Mr. Bai was going now. "It was almost 6 o'clock when I got my hair cut, and I made an appointment with my blind date at 7 o'clock at a barbecue restaurant in the International Shopping Mall. Seeing that he performed well today, I helped him to get this blind date girl, so that she won't say that I, as a leader, am not doing my job well." The International Shopping Mall is one of the several large shopping malls in Longhai City. It sells all kinds of famous brands. It is a shopping paradise for women and a hell for men's wallets. Generally speaking, men who choose to go on blind dates here will be very upset. If Xiaoduo knew about this, I'd be in trouble. But Wan'er thought it was normal, so she parked the car in the parking lot. Sitting in the car, Wan'er called the girl directly. As the call was connected, Wan'er smiled and said, "Hello, I'm Xiaoduo, is this Miss Gu?" A pleasant voice came from the phone. Hello, have you arrived? I'm still stuck in traffic. Wan'er thought the girl's voice sounded pretty good. No wonder Xiaoduo was so interested in her. He was not only a leg control but also a voice control. Don't worry, I just got here too, so I'll go to the barbecue restaurant and light it up first. Okay, I'll be there soon. After hanging up the phone, Wan'er got out of the car and put the car keys into her trouser pocket. After putting them in her trouser pocket, she hesitated for a moment. Don't boys like to hang their car keys behind their buttocks to show off? Several of her young cousins were almost hanging their car keys around their necks. Although it is not a very expensive car, it still adds points. Wan'er also hangs behind him, and the car keys and fobs jingle as he walks, as if shouting, "Look here, this guy drives a BMW." When they arrived at the barbecue restaurant, Wan'er ordered a set meal for two. It was not expensive, only 198 yuan. Not long after, the phone rang. I'm at the store entrance. Which seat are you in? I'll come to the door. Wan'er was still very gentlemanly and strode towards the door. When Wan'er saw the blind date girl at the door, she thought she was quite pretty. She was wearing a white dress, a butterfly hairpin, big eyes and a high nose bridge. But it seemed as if her nose had been operated on and her double eyelids seemed to have been cut. But overall she looked pretty good. Xiaofang was also looking at Wan'er. Unexpectedly, she was even more handsome in person than in the photo, and she was also tall, which was pretty good. Sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. Xiaofang smiled sweetly. Wan'er thought the girl was pretty good, so she helped Xiaoduo to check her out. It's okay, it's okay. I got here early. Come in. When Wan'er turned around and left, the car keys on her butt made a clanging sound, and the guests around her couldn't help but look over. One of them even said disdainfully, "Driving a lousy BMW is not fashionable at all." Xiaofang also followed behind with an embarrassed look on her face. Xiaoduo had an average look, but now he felt a little rustic. However, she did not deny it directly. After all, he was handsome and tall, so this little flaw was acceptable and she could change it when the time came. Sit down. Xiaoduo pulled the chair away, and Xiaofang said thank you sweetly, apparently adding back the points that had just been deducted. I don't know what you like to eat, so I just ordered some. If it's not enough, I'll add more. Looking at the plates of meat, Xiaofang felt that the boy was not stingy. That's enough. After a brief exchange, the stone plate began to sizzle and the aroma of meat wafted out. Wan'er was thinking about finding a topic to talk about. She couldn't continue in this awkward situation. Miss do you play games? Wan'er felt that boys all like to talk about this topic, so it should be correct. If Xiaoduo knew about this, he would definitely give him a lecture, saying, "Don't think of yourself as a man. You are a woman and you like to talk about games with your blind date. Mr. You are here to cause trouble." Xiaofang whispered, "I'm usually busy with work and rarely play games. Do you play often? I'm really good at playing games. I'll take you with me if I have the chance." Har har har, okay. Xiaofang continued, but the atmosphere suddenly became quiet again. This made Wan'er feel difficult. Why is it so difficult to go on a blind date with a girl? Xiaofang stroked her temples and asked curiously, "I heard from my aunt that you work at Gu's group." Wan'er breathed a sigh of relief. This girl finally spoke. Yes, Gu's treatment is good and the prospects are bright. Recently, a knowledgeable new general manager came in and will definitely create greater success. Wan'er boasted to herself as she spoke. Xiaofang let out a long "oh" and then lowered her head to eat the barbecue. It seemed that he was a man without ambition, but his appearance could make up for it. After dinner, she would go shopping and see if he would pay for her. Wan'er was confused. What on earth was this girl thinking? Are you not satisfied with my conditions? After the meal, Wan'er was speechless and felt that the 198 yuan was a huge loss. I want to buy some things. Can you accompany me? Xiaofang suddenly said when they reached the door of the store. Wan'er's eyes lit up. There was hope. Certainly. When passing by a milk tea shop, Wan'er generously treated the girl to milk tea. It seems that she has won her heart. It is quite easy to chase girls, skinny EZ. The two of them held milk tea and walked from shop to shop. Suddenly, Jiyu Xiaofang walked into a store that specialized in selling socks, and Jiyu Wan'er followed her in. Jiyu Xiaofang looked at the stockings and seemed to want to buy a pair. Jiyu Wan'er leaned over to the side while sipping milk tea and suggested, "You still have to choose a brand for stockings. Balenciagas are good. They are breathable, soft, and show the shape of your legs. I wear them often." As soon as she finished speaking, the women around her looked at Jiyu Wan'er in amazement, especially Jiyu Xiaofang. "You, a grown man, actually wear black stockings?" Jiyu Wan'er was stunned for a moment. "I didn't say anything wrong just now. Pervert." Jiyu Xiaofang screamed in shame and ran out with her head lowered. The women around pointed and talked. "This handsome guy looks very special, but I didn't expect him to wear black stockings. TSK, 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 this habit is so disgusting. Go quickly, don't get infected." Jiyu Wan'er was devastated and hurried out to explain, but there was no sign of Jiyu Xiaofang. She took out her phone and called, but her number was blocked. It's over, it's over. If Yu Xiaoduo knew this, he would be furious. Chapter 12 finally back. At this time, Yu Xiaoduo had just said goodbye to Mr. Bai and got into the car. Generally speaking, today's result was good and Mr. Bai was very happy. As long as Jiyu Wan'er could get the real power of the company, everything would be basically settled. But to be honest, I was so hungry and didn't know how Jiyu Wan'er's blind date was going, so I took out my cell phone and called Jiyu Wan'er. Jiyu Wan'er, who was drinking milk tea, felt guilty when she saw Yu Xiaoduo calling. "Hey, how was the blind date going?" Yu Xiaoduo asked directly. Jiyu Wan'er hesitantly said, "Tell me how things are going over there first." "Well, where are you? Let's eat and talk." "I'm at the International Mall." "Then wait, I'll be there in half an hour." Jiyu Wan'er suddenly had a headache. From Yu Xiaoduo's tone, it seemed that everything was done, but she had messed up his blind date. Half an hour later, Yu Xiaoduo arrived at the agreed location. "I'm starving, let's eat hot pot and chat while we eat. You don't know how dangerous I was today. I almost couldn't come back." "Is this true? Have you been threatened by Mr. Bai?" Jiyu Wan'er asked curiously. It's hard to put it into words. Arriving at a Chongqing hot pot restaurant, Yu Xiaoduo ate to his heart's content. Jiyu Wan'er frowned tightly. "That's enough. If you keep eating, you'll get fat." "It's okay. It's not like I'm fat anyway." Jiyu Wan'er frowned. "Yu Xiaoduo, this is my body, please don't eat it carelessly, okay?" Seeing Jiyu Wan'er getting angry, Yu Xiaoduo shrugged and put down his chopsticks helplessly. "I have gone through life and death for you, and you still have to nag me even when you are eating. Mr. Bai said that as long as you hold the real power of the company, we can cooperate." "Really?" Jiyu Wan'er was delighted. If she could cooperate with Mr. Bai, the elders in her family would look at her with admiration, not to mention any marriage. "Why would I lie to you? I'm living a life worse than death today, dancing on the edge of a knife. How about you, the blind date girl? It's only a little after 8 o'clock, didn't you watch a movie?" Jiyu Wan'er pursed her lips and said, "Oh. Actually, I think that girl is average. She had serious plastic surgery, especially her nose. If you have a child with her, you will definitely give birth to a flat nose." "Is this true? A plastic surgery girl? She doesn't look like her in the photo." Yu Xiaoduo whispered with a frown. "Isn't it normal to Photoshop pictures? And I'm a woman, how could I not notice it? I'm helping you avoid a trap." Jiyu Wan'er felt that she didn't even blush when she lied. If she told him the truth, he would immediately turn hostile and start to act badly. Yu Xiaoduo curled his lips, thinking that Jiyu Wan'er would not lie to him. "Just now I noticed that you hung the car keys behind your buttocks for some reason. Don't you guys like hanging behind your buttocks?" Yu Xiaoduo felt like a knife was stabbing into his chest. "I just want to ask you, what do you think when you see someone like this? It's earthy. You still know nothing about this, are you trying to hurt me? How can you be so petty? It won't hurt you at all. My cousins are the same. Those girls' eyes light up when they see the car keys." Jiyu Wan'er said seriously. Yu Xiaoduo immediately covered his forehead with his hands. "Boss Jiyu, I only have one request now, just don't harm me." "I'm not harming you in any way. I'm trying to help you." "Thank you." Jiyu Wan'er must have done this on purpose. I will charge you interest when I go back. After a while, Xiaoduo said calmly, what should we do tomorrow? Should we continue pretending? What else can I do? You continue to do what I'm supposed to do. It will also be convenient for me in the Human Resources Department to investigate. This is the only way now. Remember to increase the salary and bonus. Wan'er propped up her chin and said, you are President Gu now, you can add anyone you want. Yeah, I'm too tired today. I'll leave first. Remember to do push-ups and sit-ups when you go back. Don't be lazy. Humph, you also know that you need to keep in shape, but you just ate so much and ruined my figure. Xiaoduo sighed, okay, let's not hurt each other, okay. Wan'er glanced at Xiaoduo and suddenly realized that her manicure was gone. Where did you put my manicure? Boss Gu, the toilet paper is very thin, and your nails are so long and sharp that they will be pierced through in one go. Wan'er. Seeing that Wan'er was about to lose her temper, Xiaoduo quickly went to pay the bill and left. I'm tired. I'm leaving first. Wan'er was very depressed, but she had no choice but to go back to Xiaoduo's house. It was almost 10 o'clock when she got home. Wan'er was still a little nervous about the unfamiliar environment. When I opened the door and walked into their house, I saw that the living room was dark. It seemed that Xiaoduo's parents were asleep. That was good. Back in Xiaoduo's room, Wan'er lay directly on the bed, staring at the ceiling in a daze. When would this exchange end? She went to take a shower first. It would be too uncomfortable without a shower. In the bathroom, Wan'er looked at her chest muscles, abdominal muscles, and shark line, and couldn't help but touch them with her hand. They were hard. She didn't expect Xiaoduo to have such a good figure. When she looked down, she blushed a little. When Xiaoduo returned to Wan'er's house, he originally wanted to collect the interest, but he was so tired that he fell asleep as soon as he lay on the bed. The next morning, Xiaoduo yawned and turned over, wondering why the heavy feeling on his chest was gone. He subconsciously touched it and found it was flat. I opened my eyes suddenly and saw the familiar ceiling, familiar bedroom, familiar bar. I'm finally back. It's okay to be a girl for a day. It's an experience, but it's not a long-term problem. Now I can finally rest assured. Seeing that he was still wearing pajamas, Xiaoduo was convinced. Is it necessary to be so clean? But I still have to call Wan'er. Hello. Wan'er's lazy voice came from the phone. Xiaoduo felt that this was more appropriate. Why should a girl have a sullen face all day long? Boss Gu, get up and take a shower. Wan'er. 5 seconds later, Wan'er's scream was heard on the phone. She didn't scream when she turned into a man yesterday, but now she screamed after turning back, and she was even more excited. Xiaoduo, I turned back. I'm back too. Xiaoduo laughed. It was a pity that he didn't collect any interest last night. Wan'er looked at her delicate body and suddenly said unhappily, Xiaoduo, why didn't you take a shower before going to bed? You didn't even change your clothes, and your hair smells like hot pot. Xiaoduo. Yesterday morning you were going crazy just taking a shower, but today the situation has changed. Boss Gu, you are really famous for your double standards. How dare I take a shower without someone keeping a straight face? Wan'er snorted coldly, forget it, don't think about it in the future anyway, goodbye. After hanging up the phone, Wan'er was in a good mood. She hummed a little tune and went to take a shower. Her body was still beautiful, unlike that guy's, which was hard all over. Chapter 13. Wan'er, you hurt me. Hearing the busy tone on the phone, Xiaoduo's mouth twitched. Wan'er, are you destroying your bridge after crossing it? Jumping off the bed, Xiaoduo did dozens of push-ups and then went into the bathroom. After a while, Xiaoduo's cursing voice was heard in the bathroom. He walked to the bedside with a stern face, picked up the phone, and called Wan'er again. Wan'er, who was taking a bath, did not hear it. Xiaoduo cursed inwardly. She kept telling her not to move her body, but she just shaved herself off and didn't even answer the phone. Was she trying to stab him in the back? After changing his clothes and walking out of the bedroom, Xiaoduo saw his parents already sitting at the dining table having breakfast. However, their expressions were strange, so Xiaoduo didn't think much about it. He just picked up a big meat bun and took a bite. Finally, I don't have to chew slowly like women. Yu Juo looked at his son with a strange look, which made Yu Xiaoduo look at him in surprise. Dad, what are you doing? Tang Ling sighed softly. Juo, your parents were too strict with you in the past, which led to you not having a girlfriend. It was our fault. Yu Xiaoduo was completely confused. What was going on? Alas, son, as a grown man, your orientation should be normal. What are you talking about? Yu Xiaoduo felt something was wrong. Could it be Gu Wan'er again? Tang Ling said softly, Juo, don't hide it from us. Mom and Dad know about it. What do you know? Yu Xiaoduo was anxious. What mistake did I make to make you look at me like this, as if I were a psychopath? Yu Taijuo sighed and said, I can't say it, so you should say it. Tang Ling said seriously, the parents of the girl we met for the blind date called us back. The girl originally liked you very much, but she just couldn't accept your habit of wearing black stockings. Yu Xiaojuo, who was sitting on the stool, became stiff, as if he was broken into pieces and fell to the ground. Yu Taiguo lowered his head and sighed repeatedly, as if wondering how such a person came out of the Yu family. When he heard the news just now, he almost vomited a bowl of blood. You are so good, Gu Wan'er. Not only are you ungrateful and two-faced, but you also framed me out of thin air. How am I supposed to survive in the blind date world in the future? I was framed, do you believe it? Yu Xiaojuo said seriously. Tang Ling poured a glass of milk for her son. Juo, it's okay, we just need to change our bad habits. Yu Xiaojuo. If I don't get an explanation today, I will just press Gu Wan'er to the ground and rub her 300 times to get rid of the hatred in my heart. I picked up the phone and called again, but Gu Wan'er still didn't answer the call. What a guts! I'm not going to block you today. I'll give you my last name. Arriving at the underground garage, Zhao Liang waited next to the car early in the morning to avoid being abandoned again. Brother Yu, how was your blind date last night? Zhao Liang said with a sly smile. Oh my god, Zhao Liang already knew that I was going on a blind date, but with his big mouth, he still advertised it everywhere. Have a cigarette. Hey, I'm saving it for you, brother Yu. Sitting in the car, Yu Xiaojuo took a deep puff of smoke. His upright and sunny image was completely ruined. The next time his parents and friends gathered together, he would die on the spot. Brother Yu, you look like you're in a bad mood. Zhao Liang could feel that something was wrong with Yu Xiaojuo, but compared to yesterday, today was much more normal. Yu Xiaojuo started the car and said calmly, I met a woman who doesn't respect morality. No way, I'm so scared that I don't even dare to go on a blind date. I, Yu Xiaojuo, have seen countless women, but I didn't expect to fall into such a trap yesterday. I was so angry that my kidneys hurt. What's going on? Is it really that exaggerated? Yu Xiaojuo didn't say much and drove directly to the company. When he got out of the car in the parking lot, Yu Xiaojuo discovered something strange again. Some colleagues were pointing at him. See? He was the one who ran into the ladies' room yesterday. He's quite handsome, I didn't expect he could do something like this. Yeah, I used to have a crush on him, but now I just don't feel anything at all. Listening to their gossip around him, Yu Xiaojuo was petrified again. What sin had I committed? Brother Yu, it seems that the news of you going into the women's restroom yesterday has spread. Zhao Liang was worried. Brother Yu has been having a miserable time recently. Why should I go to the women's restroom? Yu Xiaojuo pressed Zhao Liang's shoulders. How should I know? It seems like you came in quite naturally. Nature? Gu Wan'er, not only have you ruined my career in the blind date world, you've also cut off my future prospects in the company. Now all the girls in the company dislike me. I owed you this in my last life. On the other side, Gu Wan'er was sitting in the car preparing to go to work when her cell phone suddenly rang. When I looked at the caller ID, it was actually Mr. Bai calling. Yu Xiaojuo even added Mr. Bai's number. How impressive. Good morning, Mr. Bai. Bai Ji listened to Gu Wan'er's voice and felt it was a little different. The tone was not on the same frequency as yesterday. Good morning, Miss Gu. I'll come to your company later and have a cup of tea. Gu Wan'er was delighted. Yu Xiaojuo was really good. Even Mr. Bai took the initiative to come to her house. No, Mr. Bai's daughter. Master Bai is actually a woman, and from the sound of her voice, she doesn't seem to be very old. Okay, Mr. Bai, where are you? I'll send someone to pick you up. No need, I can do it myself. Bai Ji said lightly. Wan'er did not continue to persuade her. She just went back to the company and wait for Mr. Bai to come. After hanging up the phone, I saw that it was Xiaoduo calling. Could it be that he knew about the blind date yesterday? What should I do? As soon as she got off the car at the company, Wan'er saw Xiaoduo standing in the elevator with a livid face, and his eyes seemed to want to swallow her alive. As he had guessed, Xiaoduo went berserk. Xiaoduo looked at Wan'er, who got off the car, and said, "Don't think that I can let you off just because you're wearing a dress, black stockings and high heels today. Boss you look quite energetic today." Hearing Xiaoduo's sarcastic voice, Wan'er felt embarrassed. "Don't talk here, come to my office." "Okay. You are also afraid. Didn't you feel great when you framed me yesterday?" The elevator goes directly to the general manager's office on the top floor. It is also Xiaoduo's first time to come to the general manager's office. It is really too big and the lighting is excellent. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, you can overlook half of Longhai City as if it is right under your feet. No wonder everyone wants to climb to this position. Xiaoduo was not polite at all. He sat on the sofa and said, "Wan'er, I, Xiaoduo, never hurt anyone. It was not my own will to become you. You said yesterday that you wanted to help each other, and I believed you, but you lied to me. It seems that the blind date girl I went on last night has complained. That girl is too narrow-minded. Xiaoduo, it's not what you think." The guilty Wan'er smiled. This was unprecedented. It was Xiaoduo who dealt with Mr. Bai, and it was indeed her fault. Chapter 14. Mr. Bai is unhappy. Xiaoduo was unwilling to hear this. "Who are you calling Xiaoduo? Are you familiar with him? Isn't that what your mother called you?" Xiaoduo was shocked. "You still want to be my mother? Wan'er. Tell me, why did you say those words to the blind date girl yesterday? How do you want me to survive in the blind date industry in the future? To put it seriously, you will ruin my second half of life." Wan'er stood up and poured a cup of tea for Xiaoduo personally. Her long legs walked back and forth in front of Xiaoduo, disturbing my brother Yu's heartstrings. "Have a cup of tea and calm down," Wan'er said softly, with a very humble attitude. Xiaoduo was not an unreasonable person. "Tell me, why did you stab me in the back?" Wan'er sat opposite Xiaoduo and explained, "I really didn't mean it. Yesterday, the girl I was dating was choosing stockings, and I gave her a suggestion. I was a little quick-witted and said that I often wear those stockings. Before I could explain, the girl called me a pervert and ran away." Xiaoduo took a breath and said, "If you're not a pervert, what are you talking about? I really didn't mean to say that. Then why didn't you just tell me straight out last night and lied to me?" Wan'er bit her teeth and whispered, "You helped me a lot, but I didn't help, so I'm embarrassed to say it out loud." Seeing Wan'er admitting her mistake with a good attitude, Xiaoduo's anger subsided by half. After all, the other person didn't do it on purpose, but he just didn't have any sincerity at all. "Also, why did you shave my face off? I look just like you now." Puff. Wan'er sprayed out the tea she had just drunk, and her pretty face instantly turned red. "I thought I was going to stay with you for a while, so I." "What, you don't allow me to mess around, but you mess around yourself. How can you be so hypocritical? I just feel uncomfortable watching it." Xiaoduo stared at Wan'er fiercely. The latter looked out the window guiltily, with a blush on her beautiful face. "Okay, then let me ask you again, why did you go to the women's restroom in the company yesterday?" Xiaoduo asked again. "I was so worried about you yesterday that I lost focus and walked into the women's restroom subconsciously." Xiaoduo was stunned. Is he worried about himself? Is it true or not? It is said that the more beautiful a girl is, the more she likes to lie. Everyone in the company now says I'm a pervert. How can I survive? Anyway, you're now CEO GU, how can you not care? You will get double the salary and double the year-end bonus. Oh my god, you actually use money to attack me, Xiaoduo. Xiaoduo, I'm a confident man and I will never compromise. Wan'er, do you think this is a matter of money? 3 times. You've ruined my reputation. 5 times. Xiaoduo said seriously, "Boss GU, as a man, it is not impossible for me to withstand the pressure of public opinion, but I will be a bachelor from now on, so no amount of money will be of any use. I can introduce one to you. Gu Wan'er said seriously. Xiaoduo's eyes suddenly lit up. Is this true? Don't try to lie to me again. I, Gu Wan'er, never tell lies. He. Gu Wan'er coughed lightly and said, that was a misunderstanding yesterday. The person I introduced to you must be better than the blind date yesterday. She should be similar to me, with long legs and a good figure, and a good family background. It all depends on your ability. Really? Show me the photo. NB. Changju updates slowly, has ads, and incomplete chapters. Please exit Changju and read on. SP. Well, I don't really have any photos, but if she comes to Longhai City, I'll invite you to have dinner together. Xiaoduo knew in his heart that the girl recommended by Gu Wan'er would naturally not be bad. He was just joking just now. He still had self-awareness. The questioning has come to an end. Gu Wan'er apologized in a good manner, and used money to make up for my broken heart. She was instantly promoted to the ranks of people with an annual salary of 1 million. I, Xiaoduo, can take it or leave it. Reputation is nothing but a cloud. I'll let you go this time. I'm going to work. You can do whatever you want. After saying that, Xiaoduo put his hands in his pockets and left. Watching Xiaoduo leave, Gu Wan'er was stunned. Are you the general manager or am I the general manager? But I did feel sorry for him yesterday. Fortunately, my body has been restored, and there will be no more oolong incidents in the future. Arriving at the elevator, Xiaoduo grinned. Although he suffered a little loss, the return was still good. He would save some money next year to replace his car with a Porsche, and then take off with his little sister. With a ding, as the elevator door opened, Xiaoduo was stunned. Scarman? And Mr. Bai? Why is she here? Today, Bai Yi is wearing a red cheongsam, which makes her look beautiful and cool, and really catches the eye. Get out of the way. The scarred man walked out of the elevator and said coldly. This arrogant man with a scar, I'll punish you if I find the chance next time. Watching Mr. Bai walk past me indifferently, it was hard to imagine that this was the gentle and domineering lady from yesterday. If you look at me again, I'll dig out your eyeballs. The scarred man reminded Xiaoduo coldly, his eyes flashing with ferocity, as if he was not joking. Xiaoduo curled his lips and walked into the elevator. What are you holding on to? If I get angry, I'll add another scar on your face. Arriving at the Human Resources Department, Zhao Liang immediately ran over excitedly. Brother Yu, I just saw a top beauty, her charm is even more outstanding than our CEO Gu. I wonder if her family needs a dog. I want to sign up. Old Zhao, your body is suitable for being a pig. Wouldn't it be great to be eaten by a beauty and become one with her? Damn, Brother Yu is so understanding. Xiaoduo couldn't stand it anymore, this guy was hopeless. Xiaoduo, come to my office. The supervisor shouted from the side. Zhao Liang reminded quietly, a female colleague has complained about you, and she will probably talk to you. Just vote. Last time a female colleague ran into the men's restroom, I didn't say anything. That's because I was shocked by Brother Yu's majesty. Xiaoduo. Sure enough, after receiving a profound education in the supervisor's office, Xiaoduo walked out as if nothing had happened. Thinking back to when he was studying, he had done a lot of bad things, but now it was just a little bit of trouble. In the general manager's office, Gu Wan'er talked about her intentions for the company's future development and some plans she had in mind. But Bai Ji seemed exceptionally calm, and seemed not interested in what Gu Wan'er said. In fact, Bai Ji came here today just to chat with Gu Wan'er. She finally found someone she could chat with, but Gu Wan'er was completely different from yesterday and kept talking about company matters. Miss Gu. Bai Ji said lightly. Does Mr. Bai have any comments? Bai Ji stood up and said indifferently, I am not interested in what you are going to do with your company. Gu Wan'er frowned, not quite understanding what Mr. Bai meant. Looking at Gu Wan'er in front of her, Bai Ji found it hard to connect her with yesterday. Forget it, my meaning remains unchanged. After saying that, Mr. Bai walked towards the door. Although Gu Wan'er was confused, she followed him to see him off. As she walked out the door, Bai Ji turned around and said calmly, I still prefer chatting with you yesterday. End of this chapter. Chapter 15 You Can't Handle Mr. Bai. Under Gu Wan'er's surprised gaze, Bai Ji walked into the elevator and left. Bai Yi could actually chat with Xiaoduo. Oh my god, how could this be possible? But as Bai Yi frowned, Gu Wan'er felt that she had missed a great opportunity. Back in the office, Gu Wan'er looked worried as she paced back and forth, unable to figure out the difference between herself and Xiaoduo. In the Human Resources Department, Xiaoduo was in a good mood and his work efficiency increased. As the phone rang, Xiaoduo took a look and saw that it was Gu Wan'er calling. What did she want to do? Hello. Come up for a while. Oh. Xiaoduo responded helplessly. You are the boss, how dare I resist? That's not right. Mr. Bai just went to look for her, and now she asked me to go up. Was she discovered? She asked me to go up and chop off her hands. And from the tone he just used, he sounded heavy, as if he was in a bad mood. After Xiaoduo left, a man nearby took a peek and immediately ran to the supervisor's office to report him, saying that Xiaoduo was being lazy. This scene was seen by Zhao Liang, who was far away, and he quickly sent a message to Xiaoduo, saying that Qian Longhu had gone to report you again. Xiaoduo in the elevator looked at the message sent by Zhao Liang and snorted. This Qian Longhu was really trying to make trouble for her and was going against her everywhere. Arriving at the office door, Xiaoduo knocked and walked in. In the huge office, only Gu Wan'er was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Her sexy back was indeed alluring, and she was on par with Mr. Bai. But if you let Xiaoduo choose, I'm sorry, I would choose Bai Yi. After closing the door, Xiaoduo asked curiously, where's Master Bai? Gu Wan'er turned to look at Xiaoduo and asked solemnly, what did you say to Mr. Bai yesterday? I didn't say anything. What's wrong? Did the talk not go well? Xiaoduo walked to the water dispenser and poured a glass of water. Gu Wan'er thought it was for her, but she didn't expect Xiaoduo to drink it himself. He deserved to have no girlfriend. Well, before Mr. Bai left, he said that she likes chatting with you and not with me. Gu Wan'er was so depressed. She had been thinking for a long time but still didn't know where she went wrong. Xiaoduo was also quite surprised after hearing this. Mr. Bai actually liked to chat with him. He was really flattered. What did you talk about with Mr. Bai just now? It talked about the future of the company. No more. Gu Wan'er nodded. I didn't talk to Mr. Bai about the company at all yesterday. After all, I don't know much about it, so we just talked about trivial matters in life. You are both women, so it's easy for you to resonate with each other. I can feel that Mr. Bai is actually very lonely and wants to talk to someone. When I saw Mr. Bai came to you today, I knew there was a chance, but I didn't expect you to talk us so much. Xiaoduo let out a long sigh. If it were him, he would have been able to get to know Mr. Bai more deeply and gain his trust. But now, all his efforts yesterday had been in vain. Gu Wan'er couldn't help rubbing her forehead. Why didn't you say so earlier? What a good opportunity. How would I know that Mr. Bai would come to see you today? Besides, even if I told you, you wouldn't be able to chat. You can't even go on a blind date. Isn't it true? When chatting with a woman like Bai Yi, you not only need to be bold, but also be as careful as a needle. You need to be sweet when you need to be sweet, and bold when you need to be bold. You need to control the scale well. This is the realm of flirting, not the realm of chatting. Gu Wan'er looked at Xiaoduo deeply. How could this guy have such a skill? Master Bai just happened to fall for his tricks, and he couldn't say them at all. Did you offend Mr. Bai? Xiaoduo asked in surprise. Although it was none of his business, he was the one who started it after all. I can't say I've offended you, but the good impression you created yesterday is gone, and you said you wanted to keep the same attitude. Gu Wan'er felt deeply frustrated. Xiaoduo had paved the way for her, but she didn't even seize the opportunity. Xiaoduo sat on the sofa helplessly. Since it has already happened, don't think too much about it. At least Mr. Bai didn't completely reject you. I don't want to waste such a good opportunity. Do you have any other ideas? Gu Wan'er looked at Xiaoduo and felt that Xiaoduo had a way to deal with Mr. Bai's matter. However, Xiaoduo shook his head. Boss Gu, you are also a woman, can't you figure out a woman's mind? Originally, Master Bai was very interested in chatting with you, but you made her very upset. Do you think Master Bai will be nice to you if you go to him again? What should we do then? What else can we do? Wait for Mr. Bai to find you again. Of course, the chance is slim, but if it really happens, it is still an opportunity. If you seize the opportunity, there is still hope. Wan'er was also very curious after hearing this. Do you think Mr. Bai will take the initiative to look for me? Mr. Bai was indeed angry today, but a woman's anger will only last for a few days. When she wants to talk to someone one day, she will definitely think of you. This is thanks to the foundation I laid yesterday, otherwise there would be no hope. Xiaoduo crossed his legs. As a woman, don't you understand what women are thinking? I'm really impressed. Xiaoduo, how many girls have you hooked up with? You can talk about it so clearly that even Mr. Bai took the initiative. Wan'er couldn't help but admire him. After all, the number of girls who could make Mr. Bai take the initiative could be counted on one hand. Xiaoduo shook his index finger and said faintly, when you have watched 300 romantic idol and palace fighting dramas, you will be able to grasp the psychological activities of women appropriately. If not 100%, 80% is almost the same. Wan'er. Okay, my mission has been completed. It's up to you now. Xiaoduo stood up and patted Wan'er's shoulders, indicating that he could not help her. You won't help me anymore. Seeing Xiaoduo about to leave, Wan'er became anxious. She felt that Xiaoduo was the only one in the company she could trust. Xiaoduo burst out, Boss Gu, if I were to speak as a man, that scarred man would kill me. Mr. Bai has no interest in men at all, so you can only rely on yourself. Listening to Xiaoduo's words, Wan'er also understood the logic behind it. Suddenly, she thought to herself, if she hadn't got her body back today, it would have been great. Xiaoduo would have been able to deal with Mr. Bai. No, how could I think like that? Maybe Xiaoduo was secretly using my body to do something bad. Xiaoduo returned to the Human Resources Department and was immediately called over by his supervisor. Xiaoduo, don't you want to work anymore? You've been slacking off for so long. The thin manager he scolded Xiaoduo and almost slammed the table. Xiaoduo said calmly, Manager my superiors asked me to question him, how dare I be lazy? Oh, you make a phone call. I want to know who the leader is. Then if I really hit you, you will bear the consequences yourself. Okay, go ahead and fight. I want to see how you can pretend. Okay. Xiaoduo called Wan'er directly, Boss Gu, our manager he wants to talk to you about something. It's about me being lazy just now. Chapter 16 Did you use witchcraft? The supervisor was shocked when he heard this. Those with the surname Gu are all royal relatives. Could it be that this kid was really called away? Wan'er was very unhappy with this supervisor yesterday and felt that he was targeting her. Manager this is Wan'er. Xiaoduo was here with me just now. Do you have any questions? Wan'er's stern voice came from the phone, which immediately scared Manager It turned out to be General Manager Gu. Why was Xiaoduo called by General Manager Gu? Manager immediately explained, Boss Gu, it's a misunderstanding. I didn't know Xiaoduo went to your place. As a leader, is it appropriate for you to wrongly accuse your subordinates? I'm sorry, Mr. Gu, I was wrong. You don't have to tell me you're sorry, tell him. Xiaoduo exclaimed in his heart. Although President Gu's brain was a little slow to react, he still had some means to win people over. Manager didn't dare to say anything more and quickly apologized. Xiaoduo, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Forget it. This is just a small matter. The two of them sang in unison and cooperated with each other in doubles, which scared Manager a lot. After hanging up the phone, Xiaoduo said calmly, okay, if Manager is alright, I will go to work. Manager immediately ran to the door and opened it himself. Brother please. Xiaoduo. Manager is very flexible. He is more than 10 years older than me but calls me brother. He is also a talented person. I guess he has already considered himself as someone close to Mr. Gu. In the company, if you don't hang out with people named Gu, you will be in trouble as a supervisor. Chen Longhu watched Xiaoduo come back as if nothing had happened, and wondered in his heart, how could this be possible? Chen Longhu, come to my office. Manager suddenly shouted. Xiaoduo really didn't expect that Manager had such an upward-looking heart. A burst of abuse came from the manager's office. When Chen Longhu walked out, he was covered in dust, but he hated Yu Xiaoduo even more because the manager was protecting him. Nothing happened next. After get off work, Yu Xiaoduo and Zhao Liang went to the internet cafe together to play for a few hours, and then had a midnight snack before going home. Except for the fact that he didn't have a girlfriend, his life was extremely comfortable. The next day, a ray of sunlight shone into the bedroom through the window. Yu Xiaoduo pursed his lips. Why did his chest feel heavy again today? He reached out and touched it. He suddenly opened his eyes. Damn, she becomes Gu Wan'er again. I picked up the phone next to my pillow and called directly. Gu Wan'er, who was sleeping soundly, reached out her hand, held the phone and answered lazily. Gu Wan'er, what kind of evil magic did you cast? How did I become you again? Gu Wan'er suddenly opened her eyes, and this time she lifted the quilt and saw that she had turned into Yu Xiaoduo again. I didn't. I went home yesterday, watched TV for a while and then went to rest. Gu Wan'er swore that she really didn't cast any evil spells. Although she wanted Yu Xiaoduo to help, it hadn't come to that point yet. Yu Xiaoduo sighed, and seemed reluctant to change, but the corners of his mouth became more and more upturned. The interest from last time had not been collected yet, but this time he collected both the principal and the interest. I'm going to take a shower. Yu Xiaoduo said seriously. Yu Xiaoduo. Gu Wan'er's shameful and angry voice suddenly rang out on the phone. Gu Wan'er, didn't you tell me to wash it yesterday morning? Why don't you let me wash it today? Gu Wan'er was so sad that she wanted to cry but had no tears. How could she have ended up with such a guy? Okay, I won't wash myself. I won't wash myself even if I stink all over. Wait for you to come back and wash yourself. Gu Wan'er said coquettishly, wash it if you want, but don't let me know. Whoa, what a good trick of covering one's ears and stealing a bell. It really suits you perfectly. I was just teasing you, but you're really angry. Yu Xiaoduo, can you be a little more normal? Do you think you will feel better if you make me angry? Yu Xiaoduo chuckled and said, I don't know why, but I just like the way you are angry but can't get rid of me. After hanging up the phone, Yu Xiaoduo lifted the quilt and stretched. A girl's room is different from a man's, it smells fragrant. I thought it would never change, but it happened again today. As long as it is not a permanent exchange, it's fine. After all, I, Yu Xiaoduo, still prefer to be the main attacker. Walking into Gu Wan'er's cloakroom, Yu Xiaoduo began to think about what to wear today. She wanted to see the murderous looks from her male compatriots, but she couldn't get them. Tell me, isn't that infuriating? Gu Wan'er on the other side sat on the bed in a daze for a while. When she saw Yu Xiaoduo throwing clothes around again, she cursed in her heart, saying that he was too untidy. She got up helplessly and cleaned up. Only then did he realize that he was not wearing any clothes, and he secretly cursed Yu Xiaoduo for being an exhibitionist and not wearing pajamas to sleep. When I was washing up, I actually saw Yu Xiaoduo's unwashed shorts. I felt so numb that I had to endure the pain in my heart and wash Yu Xiaoduo's shorts. It was the first time in my life that I washed these shorts for a boy. Knock knock knock, there's a knock on the door. Juo, mommy comes in. Tangling pushed the door open and walked in, only to see her son folding the quilt. The bedroom was tidy. The sun rose from the west today. So diligent. Juo, don't take the blind date seriously. Your dad asked around and found out that the girl is quite materialistic. It's better not to talk about it. Speaking of blind dates, Gu Wan'er felt particularly guilty. Mom, don't worry, I promise to find you a beautiful daughter-in-law in the future. Tangling was slightly stunned. The brat had always called her mom, but today he changed his name to Mom. Is he short of money? Really? Was she the girl in the car that day? Gu Wan'er said that Yu Xiaoduo's mother has a good eye, but Yu Xiaoduo is not my type. Of course not, but she must be similar to her. You're just bragging. Tomorrow is the weekend. Your dad and I are going to Grandma's house. Are you coming? Gu Wan'er didn't even think about it and said directly, I'd better not go. That's fine. Your dad and I are not home. If there is any girl you like, bring her home. Don't go to the hotel. Gu Wan'er. I never expected that Yu Xiaoduo's mother was so open-minded. My own mother would never say that. They sat down at the dining table. Tangling was serving porridge in the kitchen. Wan'er felt that Xiaoduo's father was much more serious, almost like her own father. Suddenly, Wan'er saw Xiaoduo's father secretly handing something over from under the table. Wan'er took it curiously and looked down. Jurex? What? Juo, although your mother wants to have a grandson, you must also be careful when you act and take safety measures. Taijuo turned sideways and whispered. Wan'er was just like Xiaoduo yesterday, broken into pieces. Even a fool would know what the box in her hand was. What are you two talking about, sneaking around like that? Tai smiled and said, nothing. Oh Juo, why is your face so red? Do you have a fever? Wan'er suddenly realized that Xiaoduo was still too young and these two were the masters. After breakfast, Wan'er left as if she was escaping for her life. Xiaoduo's family was too open-minded and it took time to adapt. As soon as I arrived at the underground garage, I saw the fat man waiting there. Good morning, brother Yu. Morning. Smoke a cigarette. Smoking early in the morning is bad for your health. Zhao Liang? Is this what my brother Yu should say? Which of the things we do is good for our health? Chapter 17 Let you be high profile. At this time, Xiaoduo was still sitting in front of the dressing table. The originally good-looking face became particularly weird under Xiaoduo's operation. She applied too much blush and looked like a monkey's butt. The eyeshadow was so heavy that she looked like dark circles, and the color of the lipstick was too bright. The originally cool and elegant Wan'er was turned into a lady working in a hair salon. Xiaoduo groaned, turned around and walked into the bathroom to wash everything off. After looking in the mirror, she felt much better. Why did she need to put on makeup? Wasn't it a waste of time? I looked at the weather. The temperature in Longhai City today is as high as 38. Forget about stockings because it is too hot. I'd better choose a skirt, a slim-fitting one. Thinking about how stunning Mr. Bai looked in a red outfit yesterday, Xiaoduo also chose a red dress to change into, and also put on some expensive jewelry. When I stood in front of the mirror, I saw that the curves were nice and round, and I couldn't help but slap myself. This will definitely fascinate the male compatriots. I guess Wan'er thought the same thing after she changed her clothes. Women always like others to pay attention to them. Suddenly, the phone on the dressing table rang. Xiaoduo thought it was Wan'er calling, but it was an unknown number. If it were him, he would definitely hang up, but calling Wan'er might be about something important. Hello. Wan'er, good morning. Hey, this voice sounds so familiar. Yes, that's Fu Yangxue. Good morning. Xiaoduo replied indifferently. Fu Yangxue was stunned. Wan'er had never said this before, and she instantly felt that there was hope. Wan'er, are you free tonight? I have organized a party tonight. Welcome to Longhai City. We are all people of the same age in the same circle, and it will be of great help to you in the future. Okay, you arrange it. Xiaoduo agreed directly, which made Fu Yangxue even more unbelievable. What happened to Wan'er today? In the past, she always refused directly, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. Well, I'll pick you up then. No, just send me the address. Fu Yangxue was very happy and suppressed her excitement and said, okay. After hanging up the phone, Xiaoduo chuckled. It turned out that it was so easy for a beautiful woman to control a man. Listening to his tone, although he suppressed it very well, he still couldn't hide his ecstasy. It was as exciting as seeing the girls in the 3D area. Changing the perspective was like discovering a new world. It was so much fun. Today, Xiaoduo did not go up from the parking lot, but took the elevator from the company lobby. It was rush hour and employees were entering the company one after another. When Xiaoduo appeared in the company lobby, everything around him seemed to be forbidden. Men and women all looked at Xiaoduo. Most of the women were in admiration and envy, but it was different for men. Their astonishment was mixed with infinite hunger. Xiaoduo sighed in his heart, if it were yesterday, he would have been one of them. Look at the male compatriots, you are so cheap, you are just women, you look like you are coming to lick their asses, you are so useless. Hello, Mr. Gu. Hello, Mr. Gu. The lady at the front desk shouted respectfully. Xiaoduo nodded and walked towards the elevator entrance. The surroundings were like a vacuum and no one approached. If I, Xiaoduo, could act like a queen. As Yu Xiaoduo walked into the elevator, the crowd around him was suddenly in an uproar. This is our president Ji Yu. This is the first time I see him. He is so handsome. From today on, you are my goddess. I will dedicate the rest of my life to the company, just to win your smile. Fuck, you lick too fast. I'm different. I want to suck up all the remaining fragrance of Mr. Ji Yu. After saying that, he sucked hard, which made the female colleagues around them roll their eyes. Looking at them, they looked like dogs in heat. Ji Yu Wan'er sat at her workstation early, checking the personnel transfers in recent years. As her colleagues came over one after another, they immediately started a discussion. Our CEO Gu's figure makes me drool. Her hips are simply amazing. Isn't it? And that slender waist, it must be so nice to hug her. You are too superficial. Mr. Gu's most fatal weapon comes from those two young girls playing with their legs. Listening to the discussions of the male colleagues around her, Ji Yu Wan'er's eyes were twitching and her mouse was about to be crushed. She stood up and walked to a place where there was no one, and called Yu Xiaoduo directly to find out what this guy was doing again. Yu Xiaoduo stood in front of the French window, looking at the steel city in front of him with deep eyes and complicated mood. This state quickly disappeared when he heard the phone ringing. Hey, Ji Yu. Yu Xiaoduo, what are you doing again? Why are people talking about you again? Ji Yu Wan'er asked in a low voice. Listening to what those male colleagues said, she wanted to hit someone. I didn't do anything. I just took the elevator upstairs from the company lobby. Is there any problem? What are you wearing today? Why are they all talking about you, saying you are sexy? Ji Yu Wan'er didn't know how to describe it. Yu Xiaoduo sat in the boss chair, with her legs crossed on her work. It's just an ordinary dress. Besides, they are telling the truth. You are pretty and have a good figure. Ji Yu Wan'er was speechless for a moment. After all, she couldn't refute the facts. Can you be more low-key? Alas, Mr. Ji Yu, you are too low-key. Few people in the company know you. Appropriate exposure is necessary. This is called winning people's hearts. Listening to Yu Xiaoduo's words, Ji Yu Wan'er felt that there was some truth in it. Okay, are you wearing leggings? Don't worry, I'll put it on. I'm not like someone who hurts people behind their backs. I apologized yesterday, and you're still saying that. Yu Xiaoduo chuckled. By the way, your suitor called me this morning and set up a party for me to go, and I agreed. Why did you agree to this? You're crazy. Boss Ji Yu, you don't know enough about men. A poor bastard like me naturally knows what's left of me, but Fu Yangxue is different. He has the capital to pursue you. The more you reject him, the more excited he gets. It will arouse his desire to win, which will make him lose his mind and do something outrageous. Ji Yu Wan'er nodded silently, thinking that what Yu Xiaoduo said made sense. So what are you going to do tonight? Don't worry, I'll help you with this Fu Yangxue. With Yu Xiaoduo's words, Ji Yu Wan'er was relieved and continued, I forgot to tell you one thing. Your parents want to go back to your grandma's house this weekend. I refused. It's okay, right? It's okay. Not going is the right choice. Ji Yu Wan'er felt relieved, afraid that he would accuse her of harming him again. By the way, what are your plans now? I heard from Master Bai that your two cousins control the company, which means you are actually being sidelined. Ji Yu Wan'er's heart tightened. Mr. Bai actually knew this. What a scary woman. Well, that's why it's tricky. Ji Yu Wan'er sighed. Chapter 18 Your brother is horny. My suggestion, just a suggestion, is that you can actually form your own team. Do you have a candidate? Ji Yu Wan'er actually had plans in this regard, but she had just arrived and was not familiar with the place, so she wanted to check the personnel transfers to see who had no relationship with her cousin and the others. She didn't want to promote a traitor. That manager he from yesterday was a good choice. He has been in the position of manager since I joined the company. I heard that he wanted to curry favor with some people named Ji Yu, but they ignored him. Yesterday, he found out that I have a good relationship with you, and his attitude was quite good. He wanted to join you. Besides, he has been in the company for 6 or 7 years. He must know some things that you and I don't know. You should think about it carefully. Yu Xiaoduo chuckled. When you have watched 300 power struggles, you will more or less understand something. Ji Yu Wan'er was silent for a moment, and finally said softly, let me think about it. Okay, I'll hang up first if you don't need me. I'll play some games. Don't you know how to work? You only know how to play games. Wan'er said depressedly. I can't do your job either. Help me look at the company's previous projects, capital flows, etc. There must be something fishy going on here. Xiaoduo was still thinking about doing his daily routine today. He hadn't done it for several days and lost a lot of raw stones. No salary increase. You are obsessed with money, aren't we supposed to help each other? Didn't you say that I was just helping you get past Mr. Bai? Xiaoduo shrugged. Forget it. I won't ask you for help. After saying that, Wan'er hung up the phone. She was unwilling to use her own body to help even a small favor. Hearing the busy tone on the phone, Xiaoduo smiled. Wan'er gets angry whenever she says she will. All girls are the same. Forget it, forget it. Other people have given us their bodies, so we can't be too stingy. I sent a WeChat message to Wan'er and asked her for the computer startup password. Angrily, Wan'er took a few steps before she saw the message sent by Xiaoduo. She couldn't help but snorted, but still sent the computer password to Xiaoduo, as well as the location of some project files. Xiaoduo could only temporarily put her long white legs under the desk and turn on the computer on the desk. But to be honest, Xiaoduo didn't think there would be any loopholes. If it was so easy to find out, it would be simply stupid. It is estimated that some things were swapped or replaced before Wan'er took office. Wan'er has taken on a hot potato. Throughout the morning, Xiaoduo looked at the company's major projects in the past decade, and found that all of them were profitable, with no losses. It was worthy of being called the GU Group, which was really strong. However, all the project leaders have the surname GU. One is the deputy manager GU Lin, and the other is also a deputy manager, GU Xiao. Xiaoduo knew these two people, but since he joined the company, he had only seen them at last year's year-end meeting. They were both around 45 years old. However, according to gossip, they were not direct descendants of the GU family, so they were at most deputies. Look at how young Wan'er is, but she is a direct descendant and is the general manager. This shows that this big family also has a set of rules. But Xiaoduo was a little confused, because the general manager before Wan'er was not named GU. When Wan'er came, she was said to have been transferred to the Jingju headquarters. Basically, all the major projects had taken turns between the two of them, as if they have reached a tacit understanding. I looked at the time and it was almost 12 o'clock. It was time to eat. Wan'er's secretary knocked on the door and walked in, saying respectfully, "Mr. GU, what would you like to eat for lunch?" "I'll go and arrange it." Xiaoduo looked at the sexy young secretary. She did have a good figure, but she was still a little lacking in looks. Well, I have been spoiled by Wan'er and by Yi recently. If I see this beautiful secretary normally, I will definitely point fingers at her. How am I going to find a girlfriend in the future? There aren't so many stunning young ladies. No need, I'll go by myself. Xiaoduo stood up and said. The secretary was stunned but didn't say anything. Mr. GU had been eating in the office before. The company cafeteria was crowded at this time, after all, it was peak time. "Brother Yu, why do you eat so little today?" Zhao Liang was very curious as to why Brother Yu was different every day. "I don't have much appetite today." Zhao Liang chuckled and said, "Are you looking for some free food?" Wan'er. At this moment, the cafeteria, which was originally a little noisy, suddenly became half quiet, and everyone's eyes seemed to be looking towards the door. Fuck, isn't that Miss GU? She actually came to the cafeteria to eat, oh my god. Zhao Liang quickly took out his cell phone and took a lot of photos of his Brother Yu. Not only Zhao Liang, many male colleagues were taking pictures. Many of them saw Wan'er for the first time and were instantly conquered by her beauty. Xiaoduo's appearance made him look like a big star, and all kinds of flashlights lit up. Wan'er frowned tightly. This guy was being conceited again, showing off his body in various ways. It wasn't enough after doing it once in the morning, so he did it again now. When Xiaoduo walked past Wan'er, he winked at her. Only Zhao Liang noticed this subtle movement and was stunned. Wan'er felt numb all over. Xiaoduo was so shameless. "Brother Yu, did you see that? President Gu just winked at me." Zhao Liang was so excited that he was speechless. He took a big bite of the chicken leg to calm himself down. Ji Wan'er's eyes immediately burst out in laughter. What kind of look is that? He was obviously looking at her just now. Zhao Liang held the chicken bone in his hand, his face greasy as he whispered, "Finally, someone doesn't care about my appearance and discovers my inner beauty." Ji Wan'er. You took out your cell phone and sent a message to Xiaoduo, asking him why he came down to eat. Your good brother was already aroused by you. Xiaoduo, who was sitting in the small private room, burst into laughter. That fat guy Zhao Liang was so conceited that he would probably die of beauty today. Boss Ji, you should be cool when you should be cool, and be friendly when you should be friendly. You need to unite the people. You are alone now, and the grassroots employees are your backing. You don't know how to use your strengths. You are so stupid. Ji Wan'er. You are the only one who has too many things to do. Eat less. Ji Wan'er replied coquettishly. She clearly felt that he was showing off, but she also felt that what he said made sense. Can you eat more? You're losing muscle mass. What do you care about me? Look, this woman is starting to act unreasonably, and there's really nothing you can do about it. After a while, Ji Wan'er sent a message saying, "I want to go with you tonight. You can go if you want, but in what capacity? I don't care. I'm going anyway. You decide for yourself." Ji Wan'er didn't want to go originally, but she was scared by Xiaoduo, so she felt more at ease knowing that he was watching her. Xiaoduo let out a long sigh. Ji Wan'er, although she was a little bit capricious, was just like any other girl after all. In the afternoon, Xiaoduo received a text message from Fu Yangxue, the location of which was at the Hualong Hotel. Chapter 19, Turning You into a Real Woman. In Longhai City, everyone knows Hualong Hotel, one of the few hotels claiming to be 6-star hotels. It is a great honor to hold a wedding banquet here. I have even heard a joke that the woman does not want a dowry and wants to hold a banquet at Hualong Hotel, but the man asks you for a dowry. Xiaoduo himself had only attended a wedding banquet at the Hualong Hotel. You get what you pay for. It was a grand affair and the dishes were top-notch, with fist-sized abalone and top-quality French caviar. Each person got a spoonful, and it was said that one spoonful cost more than 1,000 yuan. This was not just a meal, but a way of spending money. Fu Yangxue made a huge investment this time just to win a beauty's smile. If it were me, I would definitely not spend this money in vain. This is not the way to chase a girl, especially a high-quality one like Ji Wan'er. Before getting off work, Xiaoduo asked Ji Wan'er's bodyguards to go back first and take Ji Wan'er's car to the hotel. No, that was his own car. At this time, Ji Wan'er looked at Fatty Zhao with a look of grievance, and she was convinced. Brother Yu, I think you are just jealous of me. Mr. Ji likes me but not you. Ji Wan'er is about to turn into stone. This fat man has become possessed. Take a bus back by yourself. After saying that, Ji Wan'er drove away, leaving Zhao Liang miserable. He thought that Brother Yu was becoming less and less of a brother and was too jealous. When Zhao Liang thought of President Ji winking at him, his mood suddenly improved and he was immediately immersed in fantasies about the future. At the agreed place, Xiaoduo opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. I was wondering why you came here. Humph, if I don't keep an eye on you, what will happen if my reputation is ruined? You will only ruin my reputation. Xiaoduo's words made Ji Wan'er upset. She stopped talking for a moment because she couldn't argue with Xiaoduo anyway. Who else do you know besides Fu Yangxue? Xiaoduo still needed to understand the necessary information to avoid being caught off guard. Ji Wan'er curled her lips and said, I'm not familiar with this place, I've only heard of some people here. Is Fu Yangxue considered powerful? It's just so-so. I heard that he is someone else's younger brother. Ji Wan'er shrugged while holding the steering wheel. When the younger brother is still chasing you, doesn't his elder brother like you? Ji Wan'er immediately rolled her eyes. You think everyone is you, but you can't stand seeing a beautiful woman. TSK, this is usually what I do when I see a beautiful woman. As he said that, he slapped her leg, making a loud slapping sound, which made Ji Wan'er's eyes pop out. Xiaoduo. You slapped my legs until they turned red. She's really delicate and tender. She turns red with just a light tap. Xiaoduo laughed, which made Ji Wan'er so angry that she rolled over and over. Suddenly, Xiaoduo shouted in surprise, "Brake! Brake! Fuck, brake!" Seeing that she was about to rear-end the car, Wan'er slammed the brakes hard, leaving a black tire mark on the road, just a little bit away. "Are you sick? Xiaoduo, if you do anything to my body again, we will die together." Xiaoduo. Seeing that Wan'er was angry, Xiaoduo immediately turned on the soothing mode. The financial sponsor must not be offended. "Boss Wan'er stared ahead with a cold expression. "Xiao Wan'er." Wan'er almost vomited. "I'm not familiar with you, don't call me so intimately." Xiaoduo immediately covered his chest with his hands and said sadly, "Your words are like a sharp knife stabbing into my heart. I thought we were friends through thick and thin, but I didn't expect you to treat me as an outsider. I knew that you rich people don't take me seriously." After saying that, he looked out the car window with a heartbroken look on his face. Wan'er glanced at him in confusion, wondering why this guy suddenly became so sour, making her act like a villain. "How will you introduce me when we go in later?" Wan'er asked, changing the subject, so as to give everyone a way out and put the matter behind them. However, Xiaoduo said faintly, "I am not worthy of talking to you. I am just a common citizen, and you are the princess of the high and mighty consortium." Xiaoduo. You're almost there. You're taking advantage of me and still acting cute. You've even beaten the consortium's princess's leg until it's red. Then I'll help you rub it. Wan'er collapsed immediately. "You bastard, you are so good at taking advantage of me, and you have to do it in front of me. It's so abominable, and you acted so convincingly." Suddenly, Wan'er had an idea, raised her fist and asked, "Xiaoduo, what is this?" "A huge fist. If this huge fist hits you, you will probably become a woman in the future." Xiaoduo's mouth twitched. "Wan'er, you are brave. HMPH, if you dare mess around again, I'll pull your scissors out." Xiaoduo. "If you dare to pull it out, I will do a sex change operation and turn you into a real man." Wan'er felt terrible. The two of them glared at each other madly until the car behind them honked. After hurting each other for a while, they arrived at their hotel entrance without realizing it. Wan'er got out of the car and left angrily. Xiaoduo was really convinced that he didn't take good care of the car when it wasn't his own. He sat directly in the driver's seat, touched the steering wheel and murmured, "My dear, I really wronged you. I'll avenge you when I get home tonight." "Madam, do you need parking?" a handsome doorman standing beside the car asked with a smile. "Okay, be careful and don't scratch it." "Don't worry." Xiaoduo watched Tabayobi being driven away by a stranger and wondered if the stranger would drive his own car away. Wan'er, who was standing at the door, suddenly found something strange. She hadn't noticed it before, but Xiaoduo actually tied a red ribbon around her ankle, and it was only tied alone. "What's the meaning behind this? What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a beautiful woman?" Xiaoduo walked past Wan'er and spoke to her, imitating Wan'er's tone. Wan'er really wanted to slap him, but she would end up hurting her own body. Wan'er gritted her teeth and followed Xiaoduo's footsteps. "When I think of a way to punish you, you will know you are wrong." Xiaoduo felt very comfortable. Thinking back to the time she met Wan'er before, her condescending look was really annoying. Now let her experience it from a different perspective. Wan'er, who was following beside her, finally couldn't help but ask, "Why do you tie this around your ankle? You don't understand this, right? Only men understand men. A little embellishment can be fatal." Wan'er frowned. Indeed, she found that she was getting more attention. Looking at those elites in suits, she would secretly look at them, but the first thing she saw was the red ribbon on her ankle. This guy could actually use his body to such an extent. If you were really a woman, you would probably bring disaster to many men. You can't say that. It's mainly because you're good looking and have a great body. Wan'er was stunned after hearing this. This guy actually praised herself. Something was wrong. Why did these words feel strange? But she couldn't tell what was strange. Chapter 20. If you want me to be a shield, you have to pay me more. The banquet hall on the third floor is decorated luxuriously and gorgeously. Beautiful piano music surrounds the hall, making you feel as if you are in an opera house. There are rich foods placed on both sides, and even senior chefs prepare them on the spot. Many young people came one after another, most of them were rich second generations. As the organizer of this party, Fu Yangxue was very proud. After all, not everyone could invite Gu Wan'er. But there are also people who are jealous. For example, Lu Jingji, although he is not as handsome as Fu Yangxue, he is also well known in the circle. His family is in the transportation industry. Many cargo ships on the sea belong to him, as well as luxury cruise ships and logistics companies in China. He now manages a domestic logistics company of his family and has achieved good performance improvement, but he also likes to play. However, he likes to play exciting things and does extreme sports whenever he has time. I don't know what method Fu Yangxue used to invite Gu Wan'er. Lu Jingji said disdainfully. Who present didn't want to get in touch with the eldest daughter of the Gu family. If they could marry her home, they would get both her and her money. The man standing next to Lu Jingji wore a pair of glasses and had fair skin, giving people a gentle and refined feeling. Fu Quan's family is in real estate, but he doesn't like being constrained. He doesn't care about the family business and yearns for freedom. I came here today to see the beauty from Jingju and see if she is as pretty as the beauty from Longhai City. Why, are you jealous? The goblet in Fu Quan's hand was not filled with champagne or red wine, but ordinary boiled water. Lu Jingji curled his lips. I just can't stand his smug look. A coal miner can squeeze into the circle. If he is a coal miner, your family is still a deliverman. Fu Quan smiled slightly, but gave people a feminine aura, like a poisonous snake. Lu Jingji retorted mercilessly, har har, your family is still a bricklayer. Fu Quan adjusted his glasses and smiled. The metaphor is very appropriate. Seeing Fu Quan's indifferent look, Lu Jingji didn't bother to say anything and continued to complain. If it weren't for Pan Wei, he would still be able to thrive here. Why don't you go and kiss Pan Wei's butt? Fu Quan teased while drinking boiled water. Fuck you. At this time, Fu Yangxue came over with a proud look on her face. Although it was just a small party, she felt that it was more like an official announcement meeting, as if she was introducing her woman to people in the circle. Mr. Lu, Mr. Fu, thank you for your face. Fu Yangxue was very polite to the two of them. Apart from Pan Wei, they were the only two who could be considered as their old, rich second generation with experience. Lu Jingji didn't give him any face at all, and said calmly, I came here today just to see the beauty, this has nothing to do with whether you give me face or not. Fu Yangxue's face gradually darkened, but she didn't dare to refute. Fu Quan suddenly reached out and patted Fu Yangxue's shoulder, with a smile on his face. He is just like this, don't mind it. Fu Yangxue's face instantly lit up with a smile. Har har, of course not, please do as you please, I'm sorry for the hospitality. After saying that, Fu Yangxue turned and left, but the smile disappeared in an instant. What's there to talk about with this kind of person? Lu Jingji said contemptuously. Whether you hate it or like it, being too involved will affect your emotions and is meaningless. Lu Jingji felt numb all over. He kept playing around with this kind of philosophy. He might as well just work hard with his family. But he also felt that it didn't make sense. Others were smiling while he was depressed and hurting his health here. But he just couldn't control the urge to hit someone. Look at him, he seems to be in saint mode. I wonder why you don't become a monk. I think Buddhism suits you. For the sake of the world. You still have the world of mortals. Aren't you not interested in women? Fu Quan chuckled and said, the mortal world does not necessarily mean a woman. We finally get a chance to chat, but you insist on ruining the conversation. It's so tiring to talk to you. Lu Jingji was actually used to it. He was like this when he was a child. In the past few years, he carried a book wherever he went, like a lunatic. You are just impatient. It would be better if you could be more steady. Impossible, absolutely impossible. I recommend this book to you. It will help you keep a low profile and learn the truth. Roll. Fu Quan shook his head helplessly, unteachable. At this time, the two doors slowly opened, and a woman in a red dress walked in. Her beautiful face and seductive body were undoubtedly testing the men's bottom line, especially the red ribbon on her white ankles, which pushed the temptation to a peak. This touch of shocking red made the men feel confused. Even Fu Quan, who had no interest in women, was amazed by Xiao Xiao. Lu Jingji, who was standing next to her, was stunned and murmured, the eldest lady of the Jiyu family in Jingju is indeed worthy of her reputation. No wonder Fu Yangxue is willing to be a dog. Not everyone is qualified to be a dog in front of her. Fu Quan chuckled. He had seen many beauties, but few could reach this level. Who is the man behind her? There doesn't seem to be anyone like him in the circle. Lu Jinji whispered curiously. Fu Quan observed for a moment and said confidently, this person kept a distance from the eldest lady of the Jiyu family. After entering, he looked around and seemed very alert. There was a sense of worry in his eyes. If my guess is correct, he should be a bodyguard or something like that. If Jiyu Wan'er knew, she would definitely retort fiercely, you are the bodyguard, your whole family are bodyguards. This guy just walked fast and I didn't keep up. He was alert because he was afraid of seeing an acquaintance, and he was worried that Xiaoduo would do something wrong. This guy could do something that would make people's jaws drop. With the appearance of Xiaoduo, the scene suddenly became quiet, leaving only the beautiful piano sound. Fu Yangxue was stunned for a moment before he strode forward. In his eyes, Jiyu Wan'er was so beautiful today that the women around her were not even half as beautiful as her. His face immediately lit up, and he decided to let these young men envy him. But Fu Yangxue soon looked at the man behind Jiyu Wan'er. Wasn't this the man from that morning? How did he follow Jiyu Wan'er? Who is this man? Not only Fu Yangxue was guessing, others were also curious about who the man next to the eldest daughter of the Jiyu family was. However, they could also infer some clues from the distance. There should not be an intimate relationship. If it was an intimate relationship, they would definitely have walked in side by side. Wan'er, who is this? Fu Yangxue asked with a smile, but in Yushadwa's eyes, this smile was like the husky he raised at home. Personal bodyguard. Fu Yangxue frowned after hearing this and took a good look at Jiyu Wan'er. Why would she let a man be her personal bodyguard? This was too strange. Jiyu Wan'er didn't expect Xiaoduo to say this, but she could accept it in her heart. She was just afraid that he would say, this is my boyfriend. Xiaoduo is not stupid enough to let himself be a shield. It is such a dangerous thing. If you really want me to say so, you can do it, but you have to pay extra. Chapter 21 The Legend of Master Bai. Lu Jinji was shocked. He was really a bodyguard. Fu Quan had guessed him correctly. His observation skills were really good. Do you think she is prettier, or the ones from our local area are prettier? Lu Jinji asked curiously. I haven't seen him in person for 2 or 3 years, but judging from the past, we both have our own merits. Without that crazy woman Yishisha, life would be as bland as rice porridge. Lu Jinji recalled the funny things that happened in the past and missed them quite a bit. That woman was even braver than himself, but unfortunately she was exiled to a foreign country by her family for reform. Fu Quan held up his glasses and smiled softly, but compared to Master Bai, they still lack something. Master Bai? What do you mean? Master Bai is a woman. Lu Jinji took a breath of cold air. In the circle, only the legend of Master Bai was circulated, but few people had seen Master Bai's true face. His identity was hidden very well. No evidence, but it's pretty close. Don't keep me in suspense. Tell me, did you see anything? Lu Jinji was extremely curious. Mr. Bai was a well-known figure. He could evaporate a company in the blink of an eye, launch a trade war with a single command, and force foreigners to come to his door to apologize. He was a true legendary figure. Half a year ago, a special guest came to my house. This woman was extremely beautiful. Time had not left any traces on her. Instead, she had a special charm. That kind of temperament was not comparable to the eldest lady of the Jiyu family or Yishisha. Perhaps when they stand at the top, they may be able to obtain that kind of charm. Lu Jinji looked at his best friend in disbelief. It was the first time he heard him praise a woman like that. Looking at him, it was as if he had become a little fan. Just because she's good-looking, you think she's Mr. Bai? Lu Jinji asked. That's just one aspect. My dad treated her very well. You know my dad's personality. He hardly smiled all year round. But that day he was smiling the whole time. It's not an exaggeration to say he was fawning on her. And the next day my dad got a big project. Looking at the entire Longhai city, only Master Bai can make my father behave like this. Even the people in the GU group would not make my father behave like this. Listening to Fu Quan's words, Lu Jinji felt that it was indeed true. As far as he could remember, he had never seen Fu Quan's father smile. That's impossible. We all heard about Master Bai's deeds when we were young. He was even a grandfather-level figure. How could he be a gorgeous woman? Fu Quan picked up the water cup again and drank it all in one gulp. That's right, so I think Master Bai is just a title, not a designated person. That woman might be Master Bai's descendant, and she just inherited the title. Lu Xingji frowned deeply. Fu Quan was so smart that he probably wouldn't guess wrong. But if he really guessed right, then the dignified Mr. Bai was actually a girl with a fairy-like appearance. It really made people want to see her true face. I'm just guessing, don't spread it around. This kind of thing is not a joke. Fu Quan still reminded him. He originally didn't want to say it out loud to avoid it spreading everywhere. Mr. Bai is not a kind man. Lu Xingji nodded, don't worry, I understand this. After saying that, he turned his gaze to Gu Wan'er. Fu Yangxue was introducing some rich second generations to her. This Fu Yangxue is really good at licking. I think she will be left with nothing in the end. Fu Quan took off his glasses and wiped them with a special cloth. Although it was licked, Fu Yangxue licked it right this time. The eldest lady of the Gu family needs to make connections now. She is unfamiliar with Longhai City. There are not only internal worries, but also external troubles. That's right. It's not her turn to speak for the Gu family here. It's all Gu Xiao and those two who have made a lot of money over the years. Lu Xingji seemed very unhappy because these two people touched Lu Xingji's interests and made him earn a lot less, which made him very unhappy. As far as I know, after the eldest daughter of the Gu family took office, those two people didn't even go to the company and didn't take her seriously at all. I guess they dared to do this because they had someone's support. There is intrigue and deception in the Gu family. Lu Xingji curled his lips and said, how can such a large consortium be quiet? My cousins are almost slashing each other with knives in order to fight for a position. Oh, I feel relaxed when I don't fight or compete. Fu Quan, don't you plan to fight for your family's assets? They are worth tens of billions, brother. Why are you going to give them to some bastard out there? Fu Quan picked up a plate, picked up an egg tart and said with a smile, sometimes I hope my dad goes bankrupt. Lu Xingji paused and did not ask any more questions. When Fu Quan's mother was critically ill, his father was out discussing business and did not come back until the third day after her death. Since then, Fu Quan has been very indifferent to his father. At this time, under the leadership of Fu Yangxue, Xiaoduo got to know the rich second generation in the circle. Don't underestimate these people, they also have positions in their families and companies, and they are not the kind of people who just eat, drink and have fun. Rather than saying that he knew them himself, it would be better to let Gu Wan'er behind him know them. Although she didn't say anything, she must have remembered the names of these people. This was also one of the purposes of coming here today. It is always better to have more friends than more enemies. Gu Wan'er was exactly what Xiaoduo thought, and seemed to understand Xiaoduo's intentions. It seemed that this guy still had some conscience. Soon the two came in front of Lu Xingji and Fu Quan. When Fu Yangxue said their names, Gu Wan'er had some impression that these two men had extraordinary status in the circle, especially Lu Xingji. Miss Gu, I've heard of your name for a long time. Today I see you so radiant that I am mesmerized by you. Lu Xingji stretched out his hand and said with a smile. Gu Wan'er didn't like such frivolous greetings, but Xiaoduo was different. He looked much more comfortable than Fu Yangxue. However, Fu Yangxue was also very unhappy. She actually flirted with my woman and really thought I had no temper. What Fu Yangxue didn't expect was that Gu Wan'er was not angry at all, and even smiled. She thought she had never smiled before. When Xiaoduo came in, he saw these two people standing alone. Either they were isolated because they had no strength, or they were too strong. From now on, it seems that Fu Yangxue doesn't dare to lose her temper with them, so it can be judged that they both have strength. Xiaoduo stretched out her fair and slender hand, touched it with Lu Xingji's and said with a smile, Mr. Lu is really handsome, I guess there are a lot of girls who like you. Lu Xingji was stunned for a moment. He never expected that Miss Gu was so easy to talk to and even praised him for being handsome. He felt a little flattered for a moment. Gu Wan'er frowned slightly. Xiaoduo was quite normal just now, but why did he become a little abnormal when he was with them? Fu Quan on the side was also a little curious. He had heard that Miss Gu had a cold personality, but she didn't look like a cold person today. Chapter 22 Stop Fighting. No matter how many girls like you, they are not as good as Miss Gu. After saying this, Lu Jingji looked at Fu Yangxue provocatively, asking if you are angry. Fu Yangxue's face darkened a little, and she was obviously on the verge of exploding. Yu Xiaoduo covered her mouth and chuckled, Mr. Lu is so sweet, it really makes me feel bright and cheerful. When Wan'er heard these tingling words, her scalp felt numb. This guy was even better than herself at pretending to be a woman. Looking at his charming demeanor, she was fascinated by herself, let alone the men around him. Fu Yangxue was jealous. The woman she liked was actually talking and laughing with another man. She had never done this to herself before. She immediately shouted at Lu Jingji, What do you mean? What do you mean? You're interrupting me and Miss Gu. How polite of you to interrupt me. Lu Jingji growled. He had endured this for a long time, but he actually dared to take the initiative to provoke him. Just when your grandpa Lu was trying to talk to him. Yu Xiaoduo never thought that he could cause two men to compete with each other. Wan'er was a human fuse who could cause explosions wherever she went. What the ancients said was right, beautiful women are a disaster. Fu Yangxue said coldly, Lu Jingji, I invited you here with good intentions, but you repeatedly ignored me and flirted with my woman, treating me as if I didn't exist. Yu Xiaoduo was not happy after hearing this, and said sternly, Mr. Fu, please be careful with your words, I am not your woman. Wan'er breathed a sigh of relief, for she was afraid that Yu Xiaoduo would do the opposite and get herself killed. Did you hear that, Fu Yangxue? I'm going to return your woman to you. Who do you think you are? You're just a coal miner and you want to eat swan meat. You're like sticking chicken feathers on a bat. Lu Jingji said this very loudly. Everyone around heard it. They were used to this kind of situation. This kind of situation was interesting. Wan'er was very confused after hearing this, and even asked in a low voice, What does it mean to stick chicken feathers on bats? What kind of bird are you? Wan'er suddenly realized and felt that Yu Xiaoduo knew a lot. But that was not right. It felt like he was scolding her. The last bit of Fu Yangxue's rationality was instantly burned away by anger, and without saying a word, she punched him. Lu Jingji didn't expect Fu Yangxue to dare to attack him directly. He failed to dodge the punch, which hit him directly in the face, and he fell towards the dining table. The sudden situation startled Wan'er, and she couldn't help but shiver. This scene was seen by Fu Quan. As a personal bodyguard, he was actually frightened by such a small scene. Lu Jingji spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva, and did not forget to pick up a piece of cake and put it in his mouth, then stood up, Fu Yangxue, I'm fighting in Longhai City, and you are still your father's liquid. After saying that, he kicked her. Fu Yangxue was kicked out, knocking over the small dining table in the middle, making the place a mess. The force of the kick made Fu Yangxue unable to stand up. It was obvious that she rarely exercised and was in poor health. Yu Xiaoduo looked at him and shook his head. This is too weak. Who gave you the courage to chase after beautiful women? In Fu Yangxue's eyes, this look was one of extreme disappointment. A feeling of shame and anger instantly burned through her brain, and her adrenaline surged. Wan'er was very surprised. What kind of evil magic did Yu Xiaoduo use to make Fu Yangxue, who was unable to stand up, fight back like crazy? Yu Xiaoduo himself was a little surprised. The look he gave him was like adding a layer of violent buff to him. But then again, that look was indeed deadly enough. If it were him, he would probably explode on the spot. However, even with the addition of a layer of buff, Fu Yangxue was still no match for Lu Jingji. Before she could even fight for a few moves, she was pinned to the ground by Lu Jingji and could not move. Yu Xiaoduo felt that Fu Yangxue was quite pitiful, and he deeply realized that one should not be too obsessed when pursuing a girl, otherwise, not only would he lose face, but he would also lose his last bit of dignity. Fu Yangxue, aren't you awesome? Show me some more awesomeness. Lu Jingji pressed his knee against Fu Yangxue's waist and raised his hands upwards, causing Fu Yangxue to cry out in pain. Lu Jingji, damn it, just wait for me. Still being stubborn, huh? I'm going to torture you today. But if you call me grandpa and say I was wrong, maybe I can let you go. After saying this, Lu Jingji increased his strength again, causing Fu Yangxue to struggle frantically on the ground, but it only made the pain worse. Listening to the sarcastic words around him, and thinking of Wan'er still looking at him, coupled with the pain, liquid suddenly flowed out. Suddenly, a girl nearby exclaimed, Look, Fu Yangxue is crying. Are? You're really crying. Oh my god, Brother Lu is really awesome. Why would you provoke Brother Lu? Isn't this masochism? The men and women around immediately picked up their phones and started video recording Fu Yangshue's face. At this time, Xiaoduo came out and said softly, "Mr. Lu, it is wrong to hit people like this. Look, everyone is crying." After hearing this, Lu Jingji smiled at Jiyu Wan'er and patted the back of Fu Yangshue's head. "You useless thing, if Miss Jiyu hadn't pleaded for you, Grandpa Lu would have tortured you to death today." Of course Fu Yangxue heard Jiyu Wan'er's voice. She felt so ashamed that she wanted to hide in a crack if there was one. Fu Yangxue, who was released, was too embarrassed to look at Jiyu Wan'er again, but she still glared at Lu Jingji. "Just wait for me if you dare." "What? Are you going to call your master? Go and bark a few times." "Grandpa Lu, I'm waiting here." Fu Yangxue pointed angrily and then left angrily, but she never looked at Jiyu Wan'er again. It was too embarrassing. Xiaoduo whispered to Jiyu Wan'er, "Boss Jiyu, the mission is completed. Are you satisfied? He won't bother me again. Are you sure? You underestimate a man's dignity. Exposing my worst side to my beloved is more painful than death. How can I have the face to see you? Go away, what sweetheart." Jiyu Wan'er stretched out her hand and touched the flesh around Xiaoduo's waist. Xiaoduo suddenly hissed, "Jiyu Wan'er, are you sick? How can you pinch someone as delicate as me? HMPH. Jiyu Wan'er let go of her hands. She couldn't hit him, and she couldn't scold him either. Xiaoduo rubbed the flesh on his waist and complained, "You are really ruthless to yourself. I think you will see bruises when you change back tomorrow." "Okay, then I'll help you pinch one too, so we can be fair." "Okay, go ahead and pinch me. I have thick skin anyway, so I'm not the one who feels the pain." Xiaoduo looked indifferent. This made Jiyu Wan'er so depressed that she felt like she was eating a fly. If it weren't for Master Bai, she wouldn't have suffered this injustice. As Fu Yangxue left, everyone continued chatting and laughing as if nothing had happened. Fu Quan brought an ice pack to Lu Jingji's face and said, "You really know how to act arrogantly in front of beautiful women. If he really calls Pan Wei over, you will be in trouble." Chapter 23. Let's have some fun. What are you trying to show off? I've wanted to beat him up for a long time and now the time has come. Lu Jingji applied an ice pack to his cheek. Fu Yangxue, that little jerk's fist was still quite hard. You were beating someone up, but I noticed something was wrong with Jiyu Wan'er's bodyguard. What's the problem? Jiyu Wan'er must have lied. That man is not a personal bodyguard. They are more like lovers. Lu Jingji stared in the direction of Jiyu Wan'er and the other person in amazement. Fu Chuanyi reminded him that they did look a bit alike. The man was not bad looking, with outstanding temperament, and he looked like a young master. That's impossible. Lu Jingji still didn't believe it. Just now the two of them were talking secretly, and the man was secretly touching Jiyu Wan'er's waist. What? Lu Jing's jaw dropped in shock, and because his mouth was open too wide, it caused a pain. That man actually touched Jiyu Wan'er's waist in public. What a perverted act. It was so outrageous. If you have the guts, let me touch it too. Fu Quan couldn't believe that Miss Gu's waist was touched so casually. Who was that man and how could he hold Jiyu Wan'er down so tightly that she didn't dare to resist at all? Xiaoduo felt someone was looking at him, and whispered to Jiyu Wan'er, "Don't make a fuss, or someone will notice you. You Xiaoduo, are such a good actor, how could anyone find out?" Jiyu Wan'er was indignant, but in the end she had to bear everything alone. Just as the two were talking secretly, the door of the banquet hall was pushed open again, and three people appeared at the door, one of whom was Fu Yangxue who had just fled. The other man was huge, his t-shirt seemed about to burst with his muscles, and he could definitely defeat them with one punch. The man in the middle is Pan Wei, who has a flat head and a small beard on his chin. He wears an ordinary t-shirt and cropped pants and has a confident smile on his face. Xiaoduo frowned when he saw Pan Wei appear. How could it be him? Lu Jingji, get out here. The big guy walked directly to the dining table and flipped it over with one hand, his fighting power bursting. Fu Quan laughed and teased, "You didn't expect that Zhao Yu, a big fool, would come. You're just in time, let's clean it up together." Lu Jingji threw the ice pack aside and sneered disdainfully. At this moment, a strange thing happened. Pan Wei actually walked towards Wan'er. His confident smile disappeared and he frowned and looked gloomy. Xiaoduo whispered, "Just ignore what he says later." Wan'er was stunned. Just when she wanted to ask why, Pan Wei came over and said directly, "Xiaoduo, what are you doing here?" Pan Wei's behavior surprised everyone present. They thought Pan Wei was going to say hello to Miss Jiu, but he ended up talking to the personal bodyguard. It seemed like they knew each other. Fu Quan became very interested in Xiaoduo at this time. Looking at Pan Wei's unhappy expression, in his impression, only Yi Shisha could make Pan Wei show such an expression. Who is this guy? Wan'er was also confused at this time, but she still listened to Xiaoduo's words and remained silent. "But I have 100 questions in my mind, how could you know such a rich young man?" Seeing Xiaoduo not speaking, Pan Wei seemed even more unhappy. Just when he was about to speak, Xiaoduo said indifferently, "Who are you?" Pan Wei was slightly stunned. Wan'er actually spoke for Xiaoduo? "It's Miss Jiu. I was not very careful just now. I have something else to take care of, so I won't accompany you." After saying that, Pan Wei glanced at Xiaoduo, as if as a warning, and turned away. As soon as the others left, Wan'er immediately asked curiously, "How does he know you?" "He is Fu Yangshue's eldest brother. I heard that he is very powerful in the local circle. I wonder why you are so gossipy. Stop asking about social matters. Oh, come on, if I encountered this situation in the future, I will be able to handle it easily, right?" Xiaoduo burst out laughing, "Can you please stop using my voice to act like a spoiled child? I'm going to vomit." "Go ahead, Tilder. I really admire you. This Pan Wei is my distant cousin. I met him once a few years ago and I beat him up once." Xiaoduo briefly explained the situation. Wan'er showed an incredible look, "You are bragging, you beat him up, and I will retaliate against you severely. Yeah, so be careful." Wan'er. "Then I am in danger now, why did you provoke such a person? You deserve a beating." Wan'er felt that she was becoming more and more confused about Xiaoduo, but it seemed that they had only known each other for a few days, so it was normal for her to not understand him. Just at this moment, a burst of shouting and cursing rang out. "Why aren't they fighting yet?" Wan'er looked like she was watching a show, which made Xiaoduo embarrassed. Men fight in stages. First they have to yell at each other. When they say what you want to do or hit me, they will start pushing each other. That's when it's almost done. Oh Tilder, so that's how it is. Wan'er had just finished speaking when she saw Xiaoduo walking up to her. She quickly whispered, "What are you doing now? Come back quickly." Xiaoduo ignored Wan'er and smiled at the men who were fighting each other. "Gentlemen, fighting is boring, let's do something exciting." Everyone's eyes instantly fell on Xiaoduo. Wan'er's eyes widened, knowing that Xiaoduo was going to cause trouble. "Miss Jiu, this is our business, you want to interfere?" Pan Wei said lightly, as if he was not afraid of Wan'er's identity. "Fighting is really boring, just some children's tricks. What does Miss Jiu think is interesting?" Xiaoduo stretched out his delicate fingers and said lightly, "It's more fun to play exciting games." Pan Wei's heart skipped a beat and his eyes immediately turned to Xiaoduo, who was not far away. Why did he feel that Wan'er's tone was similar to Xiaoduo? "Har har, I like it. What do you think? Do you dare to accept it?" Lu Jingji was not afraid at all. He was not afraid of excitement. Pan Wei sneered and said, "Why wouldn't I dare to take this?" Seeing the situation developing towards an increasingly interesting direction, everyone was shouting with excitement, as if they were back in the days when Yi Shisha was around, with a small commotion every 2 days and a big commotion every 3 days. After several years, they finally had something fun. At Xiaoduo's suggestion, everyone changed the venue together. In the car, Wan'er wondered, "Why did you want to get involved? It's so dangerous." "Alas, Mr. Jiu, although you are as beautiful as a fairy and can confuse everyone, you still lack something." "What?" "If you want to make it in the local area, you have to impress these local rich second generations. It's not enough to just seduce them with your looks. You have to make them admire you." Wan'er took a breath and said, "You mean, you're coming later?" Chapter 24, Revenge. "Of course. Why, are you scared?" Someone vowed before that he would reorganize the company no matter what the cost. What am I afraid of? Not at all. Wan'er said forcefully. Don't worry. If you get any scratches on your skin, I'll lick it clean for you, okay? Xiaoduo. Wouldn't you feel uncomfortable if you didn't take advantage of me for a day? Yes. You have no shame. The two people in the car started quarreling again and continued all their way to an abandoned factory in the suburbs. A group of people lined up their cars in order, including Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and two SVJs. Xiaoduo's BMW 5 Series was the worst. But there were two cars parked facing each other 100 meters apart. One of them was Pan Wei's Aston Martin, and the other was Lu Jingji's McLaren. They were playing bumper cars, and whoever steered the steering wheel would be the grandson. Everyone was exclaiming in excitement. They had never played like this when Shisha was around. Now, Wan'er, a foreigner, actually brought it up. They really didn't expect that. Lu Jingji, step on the accelerator to the bottom, don't be afraid. Pan Wei said calmly while lighting a cigarette. Don't worry, I'll step on the accelerator into the engine, and I'll get you to the hospital tonight. It's still uncertain who will go to the hospital. It is also necessary to make harsh remarks before the war. Xiaoduo walked out with a smile at this time. Mr. Lu, this happened because of me, let me do it. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone looked at Wan'er strangely. After a while, cheers broke out. A girl actually dared to play this. Wan'er felt that she was quite domineering now. This guy was showing off his body again. Fu Quan reminded carefully, Miss Gu, this is very dangerous, so don't get involved. Yeah, let me do it. This has nothing to do with you. Lu Jingji also tried his best to persuade her. It would not be good to get into any bumps with such a beautiful girl. I am a person who always finishes what I start. Mr. Lu, just stand aside and watch. Xiaoduo was so domineering. Everyone found that Wan'er was not only beautiful, but also very tough, just like Shisha back then. Lu Jingji gave a thumbs up and said, female hero, you are the second woman I admire. Oh? Then who's the first one? Har har har, maybe you will meet each other in the future. I'm really looking forward to it. Lu Jingji was very curious about what kind of sparks would be created by the friction between two such tough women. It would definitely be very interesting. Seeing that Wan'er was really about to come out, Pan Wei couldn't help but frowned. Miss Gu, I won't show mercy just because of your identity. That's not necessary. You will be responsible for everything that happens later. Xiaoduo was also unhappy with Pan Wei. Although that happened a few years ago, he was still holding back on his anger. Okay. After saying that, Pan Wei walked towards his car. Xiaoduo looked at Fu Yangxue, who was looking down at this time, and said calmly, Mr. Fu, didn't you say before that you would die for me? Now the opportunity has come. Wan'er's mouth twitched. What a murderous move. Whoever wants to be your girlfriend will be played around by you. Fu Yangxue bit her teeth and said, you believe what a man says. How could he die for you? Besides, he won't offend Pan Wei for you. After weighing the pros and cons, Fu Yangxue chose to ignore this sentence. Everyone looked at the indifferent Fu Yangxue and immediately booed. This guy is so cowardly. He wants to pursue Miss Gu with his condition. He is not even as brave as a girl. TSK. Xiaoduo smiled indifferently and walked towards the yellow McLaren. Her exquisite curves looked particularly charming under the light of the car lights, and her slender legs were also fascinating. She bent down to open the car door, which immediately caused a round of whistles. The real Wan'er seemed to have gotten used to it and thought, out of sight, out of mind. Boom boom boom. Their V10 engine roars like a wild beast, sounding particularly crisp in this quiet night, and also igniting the excitement in the man's heart. Facing Xiaoduo's provocation, Pan Wei stepped on the accelerator several times at the same time, and the two cars were like two ferocious beasts, baring their teeth at each other. Xiaoduo's face was calm. He held the steering wheel with one hand and stared at the opposite side. This was considered as revenge for a personal grudge. Pan Wei's face was calm, his heartbeat quickened, and sweat broke out on his palms. At this time, a young lady walked to the middle of the two cars while pinching her waist. Xiaoduo excitedly stepped on the accelerator, which made Wan'er complain that she couldn't control herself when she saw the beauty. The young lady took out her underwear and threw it into the air. The men seemed to turn into wild wolves. Wan'er was also eye-opening. It was the first time she came into contact with these things and it felt quite fresh. When he landed on the ground, Xiaoduo stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and the rear wheels spun and shot out like a javelin. Pan Wei on the opposite side also stepped on the accelerator, and the silver Aston Martin rushed out like a wild horse. At their speed, they would collide with each other in about 3 seconds. Who will turn the steering wheel at this time? This is a bet on who will turn the steering wheel first. Seeing the two cars getting closer, everyone held their breath and stared. At this moment, Pan Wei's face showed a struggle. Wan'er didn't make any move to change direction. How could a woman have such courage? Impossible. He must be scaring himself. However, 0.5 seconds later, Pan Wei still didn't notice that the other party was going to turn the steering wheel, and his face instantly became ferocious. If they collided at this speed, no one could guarantee what the consequences would be. Crazy woman. Even crazier than that Yishisha. I still want to keep my hands free to hug the girl. At the critical moment, Pan Wei suddenly turned the steering wheel sharply, almost brushing past the front bumper of the McLaren. Everyone gasped, and then cheered excitedly. They didn't expect that Wan'er actually won, and Pan Wei was actually scared. As expected of a young lady from Jingju, she is truly an eye-opener. Oh my god, this Miss Jiu is so awesome. If it were me, I would probably. Lu Jingji murmured, full of admiration. Fu Quan adjusted his glasses and nodded. It is indeed impressive, but it is undeniable that her series of actions have won a lot of support. She is really a courageous and scheming woman. I wonder why you always like conspiracy theories. Can't other girls be brave? I really admire you. Fu Quan smiled but said nothing. Wan'er was so worried that she almost couldn't help screaming. She would never let him play like this again. It's too dangerous. I don't want to be a man forever. At this time, the Aston Martin made several circles before it stabilized. Pan Wei in the car slammed the steering wheel hard. He didn't expect that he would lose to a woman for the second time. After taking a hard look at the McLaren, Pan Wei drove away. When Zhao Yu and Fu Yangxue in the crowd saw this, they also quietly left. They had lost face tonight. Chapter 25 Tremble, I'm back. Xiaoduo drifted handsomely and stopped in front of the crowd. He opened the car door and stretched out his long legs. His smooth jade-like calves shone even more brightly under the light of the car lights. After seeing this scene, Wan'er was fascinated by herself. She was so beautiful, no wonder those stinky men stuck to her like flies. Xiaoduo smiled at everyone and said, "This is my first time visiting your precious place. Please take good care of me in the future. Miss Gu is amazing. I'm impressed. Whatever you say, Miss Gu, if you have any difficulties in the future, please come to me and I will try my best to help us. Miss Gu, you are the second woman that I, Liang, admire." Listening to what everyone said, Xiaoduo knew that the mission was accomplished. It was like killing 3 birds with 1 stone. He was indeed a genius. But then again, it was really a close call just now. Fortunately, I had a good grasp of Pan Wei's character, so I managed to escape without any danger. After boasting to everyone, Xiaoduo and Wan'er got into the car. "Boss Gu, how is it, you are now famous? I heard from them that you are as famous as that Yishisha. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? What if Pan Wei didn't steer the wheel?" Xiaoduo was stunned for a moment, but his heart still warmed a little. "Boss Gu, you are actually worried about me." "I'm worried about my health." Xiaoduo. I was still too careless. However, Wan'er emphasized, "Don't do such dangerous things in the future. I still want to get my body back." "I know. Women like to talk a lot. Let's drive. I'm hungry." Wan'er gave Xiaoduo a sidelong look and could only be his driver. On the road, a McLaren caught up with them. Lu Jingji lowered the window and shouted, "Miss Gu, let's go get some skewers together." "Okay, you follow me," Xiaoduo said with a smile. "If you want to eat skewers, you have to choose the Lao Di Fang barbecue restaurant. Xiaoduo used to eat here when he was in school. The prices have not increased much over the years, and the proprietress is also very enthusiastic. At this time, in the countryside of a county town around Longhai City, there is an extremely unique Chinese-style ancient house courtyard. Two huge stone lions are placed at the door. The vermilion gate is closed, but two men are standing on both sides. There is a black plaque above the center of the gate with two words engraved on it. The Bai family. In the dark courtyard, there was a room with lights on. The furnishings in the room were very ordinary. There were no valuable porcelain or precious paintings, but there were many bamboo strips used to weave bamboo houses. There were two people sitting on both sides of the small table. One of them was Bai Ji, and the one sitting opposite her was an old man in his 80s with silver hair and deep wrinkles on his face. However, his eyes were still sharp, but now they were well hidden. He is Bai Ji's grandfather, Bai Jiongwo. "Grandpa, are you feeling well recently?" Bai Ji asked with concern. Her grandfather was her only relative in this world and everything to her. She had no impression of her parents at all, as their parents died unexpectedly when she was very young. Bai Jiongwo coughed heavily twice. Bai Ji hurried over, stroked his grandfather's back, and handed him some hot water. "Just let me die." Listening to her grandfather's words, Bai Ji was helpless. "Grandpa. Don't call me grandpa. How can I face your parents? You are already in your 30s. Do you want my Bai family to have no descendants?" Bai Jiongwo slammed the table and scolded. He was the only one in the world who could scold Bai Ji like this. If you try it on someone else, he would be slapped in the face. Bai Ji sighed and said, "Grandpa, it's not that easy to find a partner." "Har har, I've heard you say this for 10 years. You just hope that your grandfather will die soon so that no one will bother you anymore." After saying that, Bai Jiongwo looked away like an old child. What else can Bai Ji do? She can only act like a girl and act coquettishly. If this image were exposed, many people would not be able to accept it. "Don't play that with Grandpa. I won't eat now. Come back when you have a boyfriend. Otherwise, you can just look at my dead body." Okay, I'll bring you alive in grandson-in-law next time, okay." Bai Ji could only comfort him. Although she had said this countless times, it could also make her grandfather calm down. Hearing this, Bai Jiongwo snorted coldly. "Grandpa, the direct descendants of the Jiyu family have come to Longhai City." Bai Jiongwo raised his eyebrows, and his old man's eyes shot out a fierce light. "What are you doing here?" "I got in touch with her, but I haven't found anything else yet. She's just a girl who wants to prove herself." Bai Jiongwo supported himself on the table and slowly stood up. "You can make your own decisions on such matters in the future. I don't want to know. I just want to see you get married so that I can give an explanation to your parents. It's late, go back." Seeing her grandfather turn his back, Bai Ji knew that he didn't want to pay attention to her. "Grandpa, then you should go to bed early. I will come to see you next time." Bai Ji respectfully left the room and gently closed the door. Bai Jiongwo in the room glanced back, and his stern look softened a little. This wouldn't work, he had to take action himself. When Bai Ji walked out of the door, the scarred man standing beside her came over and whispered, "Master Bai, I just received news that Miss Jiyu has made some moves today." "What's wrong with her?" Bai Ji asked calmly. The scarred man narrated everything that happened tonight, which surprised Mr. Bai. He actually beat Pan Wei. The girl was interesting. She was even more powerful than Yi Shisha back then. He really underestimated her. At the same time, on a beach on the other side of the earth, an alluring body was lying on the sand. Her skin was a healthy wheat color, she had neat short hair, and her delicate facial features were flawless. This was a woman full of wild beauty, and she was also someone that ordinary people could not afford to mess with. She is the Yi Shisha that everyone talks about. Ring, ring, the cell phone on the table next to her rang, but Yi Shisha frowned and didn't answer it. However, after it stopped, it started again. Yi Shisha could only get up impatiently and brush off the sand on her body. If Xiaoduo saw it, he would definitely exclaim, "It's so long, even longer than Mr. Gus. Gu Wan'er is 1.7 meters tall, which is considered tall among girls, while Yi Shisha is 1.75 meters tall, just a little shorter than Xiaoduo. If she wears high heels, she will be the same height as Xiaoduo." "Who is it?" Yi Shisha asked impatiently. "Sister Yi, the troublemakers are here. I just sent you a video for you to check out." The voice on the phone urged excitedly. Yi Shisha was stunned for a moment, then she opened the video, which showed the thrilling moment when two cars collided. Sister Yi, it was Miss Ji Yu from Jingju. Pan Wei was killed by her. Pan Wei is such a loser. He is actually afraid of a woman. He really brings shame to Longhai. When there is no tiger in the mountain, the monkey will become king. I will meet this Miss Ji Yu when I come back. After saying that, Yi Shisha hung up the phone. Finally, there was someone decent. Chapter 26, Brother Yu is still awesome. Longhai City. Lao Difang Barbecue Restaurant is not far from Yu Xiaoduo's home, only about 10 minutes walk. Although it is just a roadside stall, its business is extremely popular. People from several surrounding communities like to come here, especially in the summer, when they can enjoy the skewers and drink a bottle of cold beer, which is so refreshing. At this time, a BMW and a McLaren stopped nearby. Everyone was used to seeing this. Last time there was someone driving a Bentley. Although the car was very common, a stunning beauty got out from the passenger seat of the BMW, which stunned the men at the stall. Yu Xiaoduo said that after becoming a woman, what she enjoyed most was this kind of attention. Sister Hong, the same old rules. Yu Xiaoduo smiled at a middle-aged woman. The woman called Sister Hong was stunned. Who was this beautiful girl? She seemed to have never seen her before. Did she get the wrong person? When she saw Yu Xiaoduo coming over, Sister Hong immediately understood. Xiaoduo, it's okay, this girlfriend is so pretty. Yu Xiaoduo. Gu Wan'er. After hearing this, several old acquaintances also started to make fun of him. Brother Yu, you have such a beautiful sister-in-law but you didn't bring her out for everyone to see. That's right, I guess Brother Yu is afraid that we will snatch it away, so he has to treat us to beer today. His sister-in-law is so beautiful. Lu Jingji and Fu Quan came over together and heard these words, which confirmed their guess that they were indeed a couple. Lao Quan, you are amazing. You can even guess this. It's not hard to guess, but looking at their situation, it seems they don't plan to make an official announcement. I see, they want to have an affair. Lu Jingji said with a sly smile. Yu Xiaoduo winked at Gu Wan'er, go on order, why are you standing there like an idiot? Gu Wan'er was so annoyed by the teasing from the people around her that she felt her cheeks getting hot. Seeing Gu Wan'er's expression, Yu Xiaoduo could only come by himself. Madam Boss, today add an extra grilled fish, a big bowl of fried rice noodles, a portion of roasted butter, a portion of potatoes and leeks, and 4 servings of chicken wings. Let's serve these first. Girl, are you really Xiaoduo's girlfriend? Yu Xiaoduo didn't say anything, but just gave Sister Hong a look, and Sister Hong understood instantly. At this time, Gu Wan'er immediately stepped forward and asked, what did you just say? What are you talking about? Can't you let me show off? If you keep talking nonsense, I'll beat you to death. After saying that, he kicked Yu Xiaoduo, which stunned everyone. One of the acquaintances shouted, Brother Yu, we don't want you to bully our sister-in-law like this, don't you agree? Yes. Yu Xiaoduo laughed and joked, once you get on this pirate ship of hers, you can't get off now. Gu Wan'er looked at Yu Xiaoduo with a murderous look, and said to him, just say it again, okay. Yu Xiaoduo understood very well and stopped talking immediately. However, in everyone's eyes, Brother Yu is still your Brother Yu after all. Look at the women Brother Yu has trained, and they dare not act rashly even with just one glance. I really want to learn from Brother Yu how you make such a stunning beauty surrender to you. Lu Jingji and Fu Quan looked at each other. Miss Ji Yu was actually afraid of this man. Oh my god. Gu Wan'er smiled at the two of them and said, I'm sorry to make you laugh, she just likes. Gu Wan'er didn't know what to say for a moment. Wouldn't this ruin her own image? We understand. Fu Quan chuckled. Lu Jingji was different. He approached Gu Wan'er and asked softly, Brother Yu, how did you train Miss Ji Yu to be so obedient? Teach me. Gu Wan'er. And what was Yu Xiaoduo doing at this time? She was pouring water for everyone, acting so virtuous like a human being. This makes the men envy Yu Xiaoduo's good fortune even more. Such a stunning woman is only suitable to be held in the hands and cared for. Look at Brother Yu, he kicks her at every turn, but others don't get angry and just serve tea and water obediently. I'm sorry for the poor hospitality. Yu Xiaoduo chuckled. This made Gu Wan'er look at her angrily. She was pretending, and pretending hard. She knew she would have to change it back tomorrow, so she did this. Lu Xingji's desire to become Yu's disciple was even stronger. If he could learn the unique skills from Brother Yu, even the great Master Bai would be able to defeat him. Suddenly, Yu Xiaoduo sighed, looking like he was troubled. Ji Wan'er thought to herself that this was not good. This guy was going to cause trouble again. Miss Ji Yu, what's bothering you? Fu Quan asked. Yu Xiaoduo sighed, it's so hard to work hard in an unfamiliar city without anyone you can trust around you. Ji Wan'er was stunned after hearing this. It turned out that he was playing the victim. She had misunderstood him. Yes, the eldest lady's life is really miserable. Everyone is targeting her, and she can only stand up and fight back. Ji Wan'er quickly described herself in a miserable way. The two of them immediately started doubles mode, which made the listeners sad and cry. Lao Quan, you have nothing to do, why don't you go and help? Lu Xingji suggested. This is not good. Fu Quan whispered, but he had some intention in his heart. This was a huge challenge. Ji Wan'er's eyes lit up and she rubbed Yu Xiaoduo's legs under the table and said, hurry up and work harder. Yu Xiaoduo felt like he was being taken advantage of by himself. This feeling was so weird. I really need a partner I can trust right now. Yu Xiaoduo looked at Fu Quan deeply with a sincere look. Lu Xingji agreed, just go ahead, and help me get revenge by kicking those two guys from Ji Yu Xiao off. We can also work together from the inside and outside. Yu Xiaoduo raised his beer and said with a smile, then I will declare that our team is officially formed. Cheers. Fu Quan smiled and nodded, picking up the beer in his hand. Ji Wan'er was very happy. She didn't expect to have such a big harvest tonight. It's just that Fu Quan cannot be allowed to join the company as a senior executive. After all, Fu Quan's name is very famous, and the Ji Yu family will never allow anyone else to enter their senior management, so they can only investigate secretly and collect evidence to catch them all in one fell swoop. Miss Ji Yu, your actions today might offend someone. Lu Xingji smiled mysteriously. Yu Xiaoduo was stunned, who is it? Yishisha. Yu Xiaoduo and Ji Wan'er have heard the name Yishisha too many times tonight, and they are very curious about how awesome this woman is. Fu Quan said softly, you should know Yi, she is the only girl of the younger generation, and her brothers dote on her very much, so no matter what troubles she gets into, she can always handle them. Ji Wan'er frowned and said, I know a little about the Yi family, but I've never heard of Yishisha. Lu Xingji said, if you knew Yishisha's background, would you still dare to provoke her? She likes to play dumb and eat the tiger. We only found out her identity at the end, and others don't know it yet. We only know that she is very arrogant. Over time, she has been regarded as a big sister. I have suffered losses at her hands before. Chapter 27 Ji Wan'er's sister. Fu Quan laughed after hearing this. Lu Xingji was so miserable that night, even more miserable than Fu Yangxue tonight. The most important thing is that Pan Wei is her younger brother. Fu Quan finally reminded. Yu Xiaoduo was also surprised after hearing this. With Pan Wei's personality, he would still recognize a woman as the boss, unless he was treated very badly. It seems that Yishisha is not an easy person to deal with. At this time, a fat figure came from a distance, and the wind was blowing in his step, which perfectly illustrates what it means to be in high spirits. When he saw Yu Xiaoduo's familiar back, he immediately moved closer. However, what Zhao Liang did not expect was that the person sitting next to Brother Yu was actually Mr. Ji Yu. How could they be together, talking and laughing? No. This is impossible. Brother Yu was actually being affectionate with Mr. Ji Yu behind her back. At this time, Yu Xiaoduo saw his good friend acting silly, and rubbed Ji Wan'er with his foot. Look how anxious the child is. Ji Wan'er was also speechless. Who told you to flirt with me at noon and now you have to let me wipe your butt? Fatty, come and sit down. Ji Wan'er could only shout in Yu Xiaoduo's tone. But in Zhao Liang's eyes, Brother Yu was just showing off. No wonder he ran away in a hurry after get off work today. It turned out that he had a date with Mr. Ji Yu on the weekend. Lu Xingji and Fu Quan looked at Zhao Liang curiously, feeling that the fat man looked like he had been heartbroken. Zhao Liang came and said seriously, Brother Yu, don't worry, I won't snatch it from you. Ji Wan'er. Yu Xiaoduo almost laughed out loud. I wish you two a happy marriage. Ji Wan'er quickly explained, Fatty, it's not what you think. I have nothing to do with President Ji Yu. No wonder you, brother you, were fine even after offending Mr. Gu. It turns out you two have been dating each other without telling me. Sister Hong, give me 50 skewers of pork belly and 50 skewers of beef. Put them on brother Yu's account. He has to treat me to fill my empty heart. Zhao Liang could only turn his grief into appetite. He had a cheerful look on his face just now, but it was blown away by a whirlwind. After Zhao Liang said this, Fu Quan and Lu Jingji became more certain of their relationship as a couple, so they just smiled and said nothing. Everyone knew what was going on, and no matter how hard you two tried to hide it, it would be useless. Wan'er simply stopped talking. The more she explained, the more confusing it became. Nothing happened next. Instead, Xiaoduo worked hard to pick up vegetables and peel shrimps for Wan'er, making others envious. Wan'er even wanted to kill Xiaoduo. When she returns to her body tomorrow, others will say that she was brought up by Xiaoduo and behaved well. As for this bastard, everyone will know that he has no good intentions. Xiaoduo said, "Is there anything wrong with me serving tea, pouring water and peeling shrimps for my sponsor?" Yes, there is nothing wrong with it. Finally, Wan'er couldn't stand it anymore and suggested disbanding the group and reuniting another day. As a man, of course he understood that he must go home and enjoy such a beautiful woman. Lu Jingji said that he envied brother Yu very much. Wan'er was about to collapse. How could she completely change her behavior in front of them just because of a few words? And you Xiaoduo, why are you shy? Are you addicted to playing the role of a woman? Wan'er, who was furious, grabbed Xiaoduo and left. Everyone she knew burst into laughter. Look how anxious brother Yu was. In the car, Xiaoduo said proudly, "Boss Gu, I haven't even eaten enough yet." Eat, eat, eat. All you do is eat. Why aren't you stuffed to death? Wan'er said angrily. She quickly changed it back tomorrow, otherwise she would become like a nymphomaniac. Xiaoduo burped in an ungraceful manner, causing Wan'er to cover her face with her hands. What are you standing there for? Go home. Wan'er stepped hard on the accelerator, and with a whoosh, the car disappeared on the road. Lu Jingji took out a cigarette and started smoking. It's incredible, such a beautiful flower was picked. Let's go. Fu Quan chuckled. He was not interested in the matters between men and women. Instead, he was thinking about what means he could use to crush Ji Yuxiao and the others. Zhao Liang held the greasy roasted pork belly in his hand, and suddenly it didn't smell good anymore. Brother Yu has a beauty like Ms. Ji to serve him tonight, but he can only leave it to his hands. We agreed to be single together, but brother Yu, you are not keeping your word. Wan'er sent Xiaoduo to the gate of her community. Mr. Gu, aren't you going back to sleep today? Xiaoduo asked. Humph, I'll change it back tomorrow anyway, there's no need. Your parents aren't home either. That's right, drive slower. Wan'er snorted coldly and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. Xiaoduo curled his lips and said, "Wait until I get back and see how I'll play with you." Humming Brother Haohan, Xiaoduo walked leisurely into the residential area. When the guard saw that it was Wan'er, he let her in immediately. Xiaoduo also blinked at the two security guys, which made them dumbfounded. After a while, excited wolf howls were heard in the security room. Xiaoduo laughed as he walked on the road. It was so fun to become President Gu. However, it was really uncomfortable to walk in these high heels. Seeing that there was no one around, she took off her high heels and walked barefoot towards Wan'er's villa. Back in the villa, Xiaoduo threw away the high heels in her hand and planned to take a shower. Her originally fragrant body was now tainted with a barbecue smell. How could a beautiful woman have such a smell? Let me, Xiaoduo, wipe off this bad smell with both hands. When he reached the corner, a figure suddenly jumped out from behind, making faces and threatening gestures. Xiaoduo almost slapped him, mainly because the other person suddenly spoke. "Sister, are you scared?" Xiaoduo said, "If you had said this 0.5 seconds later, I would have slapped you in the face." When the girl opposite stopped making faces and loosened her hands, a beautiful face appeared in front of Xiaoduo. She has fair skin and beautiful looks, which are the standard. Her eyebrows are very similar to Mr. Gu, especially the eyes, and the sexy lips are also similar. However, she is not as tall as Mr. Gu, but is estimated to be around 1.68 meters tall, which is also very tall. As for the sexy figure, we will have to try it to know who is better. Bastard. You Xiaoduo, what are you thinking about? You are a young and promising man, how can you have such dirty thoughts? At most, you can just give her a massage. But then again, this character is much better than Mr. Gu, lively and cute, unlike Mr. Gu who has a stern face, as if everyone owes her money. It's a pity that they are not twins. If they were twins, hee hee. But I seem to have seen this face somewhere before. Could it be that I didn't recognize him because he was wearing clothes? Sister? Were you scared silly by me? Wan'er smiled sweetly and took her sister's arm and shook her. How could you Xiaoduo be scared? He just didn't know what to say reasonably. Why are you back? Yu Xiaoduo asked calmly with a sullen face. Wan'er pouted her red lips and looked aggrieved. Sister, I'll come and accompany you on the weekend. Oh my god, this sister is so sweet, I love her so much.